Our boy spots his target, sword glowing and ready to strike. A whole family of angry blue griffins comes screeching down at him, but he just braces himself, ready to cleave them in one clean sweep, and with a massive swing he absolutely demolishes the lead monster, leaving his party members completely stunned by his overwhelming power. He is feeling pretty good, living up to his swift rookie reputation, but then a sudden jolt of pain hits him out of nowhere. This weird dark energy starts swirling around his body, making him question what the hell is even happening to him. This system hits him with the worst possible news. A skill and level down, he realizes that no matter how hard he fights or grinds, his level just keeps going down, a total nightmare for any player. See, the whole point of the game is to get these supernatural abilities at level 50, which can turn any amateur into a master swordsman or a powerful mage. And that is why he worked his butt off, desperately grinding to hit that milestone, only to get a skill called Level Down, the universe's cruelest joke. Cut to the present where he is getting absolutely pummeled in a cave by some blonde jerk named Gazaria who is clearly enjoying this way too much. And this guy's got a serious ego problem, demanding honorifics while beating someone up. His old party members just watch, mocking how the swift rookie has fallen, zero loyalty. Shunbright, now at a pathetic level 1, calls himself a complete fool for this mess. Just 5 years ago, he was the legendary swift rookie with a bright future. But that cursed level down skill dragged him down with every single fight, dropping him all the way to a powerless civilian class, a total nobody. And of course, his fair-weather friends bilaid on him one by one, while all the jealous haters came out of the woodwork to kick him while he was down. Which brings us back to this absolute nightmare unfolding in the present, with that punk Gazaria leading the charge of the petty brigade. But our boy refuses to just lie down and accept this fate, because he has always wanted to be a hero who protects people just like his dad, so he has been searching for a cure while still helping anyone he can along the way, cherishing the moments when people actually appreciated his help. Unfortunately, good intentions do not block punches from a high-level jerk. And Gazaria just loves rubbing salt in the wound, mocking his old title. This guy's a level 66 monster summoner whose entire personality is just hating Shun. Shun fires back that maybe Gazaria would not be so miserable if he just grinded harder. Gazaria does not take constructive criticism well, immediately resorting to more punching. Our boy just endures the blow, his eyes still full of defiance, which makes Gazaria even angrier because how dare the punching bag look annoyed. He decides to end it for good, but suddenly a strange power erupts from Shun's hand. Turns out Gazaria is a summoner and he is bringing out a whole pack of purple shadow wolves to play. Our boy Shun is understandably freaked out because now he is facing a whole pack of angry magic dogs. With a smug grin, Gazaria explains he cannot be bothered to dirty his own hands on a loser. This jerk keeps rubbing it in, betting that Shun cannot even handle a single blood wolf anymore. Even while getting his butt kicked, Shun's main concern is that these loose monsters will hurt other people. Gazaria's response to this very valid safety concern is, of course, a kick straight to the stomach. Then he tells his little goon squad to keep this whole thing quiet, cannot have witnesses, I guess. His crew just walks off, already gossiping about some new rookie while leaving Shun to bleed out on the cave floor. Gazaria gets in one last dig, telling the swift rookie there is no escape from this. And just to be a complete monster, Gazaria reveals he has summoned a bunch of other creatures throughout the cave. With their master gone, the summoned wolves immediately lunge at the now helpless Shun. Suddenly, a system window pops up and Shun's expression shifts to grim determination. It is a harsh reminder of his reality. He is level 1 and fighting will only make things worse. His only option is to run, so he dodges the wolves, knowing he has to avoid combat entirely. But escape is not on the menu today because he immediately runs into a goblin leading another pack of wolves. Peeking from behind a wall, Shun realizes that jerk Gazaria really did just unleash monsters everywhere. He realizes this is just pure sadism. If Gazaria wanted him dead, he would have summoned something stronger. Just then, a loud scream echoes through the cave, completely catching him off guard. Looking down, he sees a girl with a sword totally surrounded by those purple shadow wolves. This new adventurer is completely baffled, wondering why a supposedly safe cave is suddenly swarming with monsters. Shun sees the girl cornered and immediately knows this is a very, very bad situation. His brain helpfully reminds him he is level 1, asking if he is really sure he wants to do this. Because fighting just makes him weaker, his odds of winning are, approximately 0. So the smart play is to just hide and wait for someone competent to show up. But then the girl gets knocked down and his must-save everyone switch gets flipped. Against all common sense, he steps out from the shadows to play hero anyway. This kid literally throws himself in front of the girl, shielding her from the wolf pack, and with a flash of blue light, he slices clean through the first monster. He knows a level 1 has no business fighting a blood wolf, let alone winning. But this is Shun we are talking about, the guy who has killed more monsters than he has had hot meals. Turning to the girl, he tells her to get the hell out of there while he holds them off. She's completely stunned that this random guy just saved her life, barely stammering out a thank you. This remaining wolves are not waiting for a thank you speech, immediately lunging for round 2. With his sword glowing, Shun locks in, ready to meet the next attack head-on. He remembers their weak spot is the belly, a classic video game trope that is about to save his life. As the next wolf pounces, he slides right under it, aiming his blade for a critical hit. This strike lands perfectly and the monster just vaporizes in a massive burst of energy. Behind him, the girl is just covered in monster goo, completely at a loss for words. Shun just brushes it off like a pro, already counting down the last two wolves. His only thought is that if he can just take them down, he can at least make sure she gets out alive. And right on cue, the system hits him with the reward for his good deed, a 2-level drop. This officially drops him from level 1 to level 0, a new personal low for our boy Shun. But the system is not done, flashing a big fat, ominous error message just for him. He clutches his chest in agony as the game itself seems to be breaking around him. Because apparently you can go lower than 0, as the system proudly announces he is now -1. Shun's brain just short-circuits trying to understand how a negative level is even possible. Dark energy erupts around him again while he is just trying to process this new impossible reality. All he wanted to do was protect that girl, and this is the cosmic punishment he gets for it. He remembers his dream of becoming a hero like his dad, a goal that now seems completely out of reach. Overwhelmed by despair, he collapses, cursing the terrible skill that has ruined his life. But then he catches himself, realizing his father would never have just given up like this. With a surge of defiance, he grits his teeth and decides he is not done yet, not by a long shot. He has already made his choice, a dark silhouette of pure, unadulterated resolve. Vowing to keep helping people until his very last day, his fist starts to glow with a strange power. His eyes burn red as he decides to hell with this defective skill, his hair flashing white in the process. He declares he does not care if his level goes negative and turns to face the last two wolves. With a massive power-up, he charges forward, ready to absolutely wreck these last two monsters. His only thought is that he will protect that girl, no matter what the cost to himself. Suddenly, a mysterious golden light appears, praising his spirit and sense of justice. And the girl just stares, completely baffled by his sudden, heroic transformation. This mysterious golden voice congratulates Shun on reaching the absolute bottom, a very weird compliment. Our boy is still crackling with his newfound edgy power, ready to finish the fight. But as the last two wolves charge forward to attack him, everything just stops. Shun is understandably confused since he is pretty sure he did not press the pause button. These wolves are frozen mid-pounce, glitching out like a corrupted save file. And the system hits him with the ultimate Uno reverse, hitting negative levels actually freed him from the curse. Shun just stares, trying to process that his life-ruining skill was secretly a get-out-of-jail-free card. Apparently this also unlocks the power behind the world, which sounds vaguely ominous and very important. He is just trying to wrap his head around this sudden, cosmic-level nonsense. This whole world around him turns into a glitchy void, really selling the whole breaking the game vibe. He's even got a new error skill, Black Flame Magic, which sounds appropriately overpowered. Looking down at the frozen wolves, he finally realizes time literally stopped for this tutorial session. A shirtless, golden pretty boy then descends from the heavens to say hi. Shun's reaction is basically, what is even happening right now? He tries to ask who this guy is, because random divine beings were not in the cave's travel brochure. Then he recognizes the voice from before, connecting the dots while floating in this weird space. Golden Boy explains he is on a tight schedule, cannot hold the pause button forever, so he offers a quick explanation via direct-to-brain download, which is very efficient. Shun is suddenly bombarded with a flood of images, a lore dump of epic proportions. And the big reveal is a doozy. The entire world is cursed by the very concept of levels. Shun's still trying to process this whole levels are a curse thing, which kinda goes against everything he knows. Golden Boy just smirks and confirms that, yep, the entire leveling system is the world's biggest scam. Turns out there is a hard level cap for humanity, but since Shun broke the system, he is now officially uncapped. This means he can access power that exists completely outside the rules of his world, a total game breaker. Our boy is understandably struggling to wrap his head around what power outside the constraints even means, but the tutorial is over as Golden Boy announces time's up and starts to peace out. Shun tries to stop him, desperate for literally any more information than he has been given. With a final cryptic grin, the guy tells him to remember one very important rule. This lower his level goes, the more of this true power he will actually get back, so failure is literally success now. And just like that, the world snaps back to normal, dropping Shun right back into the cave. His furry purple friends are, of course, still mid-lunge and ready to tear him apart. Our boy barely has a second to register that the pause menu has closed, and he is immediately forced to dodge an attack that was frozen just a moment ago. He knows there is no time for an existential crisis, not with two angry monsters still on his to-do list. These last two wolves look absolutely furious that their meal was put on hold. So Shun decides to test out that new error skill he just got from the cosmic customer service. A torrent of pure black and purple energy erupts from his hand, labeled Black Flame Magic. He stares at his own hand, completely baffled by the instant, overwhelming power. This dark energy completely engulfs the wolves, and Shun's pretty sure this is not the standard fireball spell. What is even weirder is that he instinctively knows how to use it, despite this being his first time ever. This girl he just saved is completely floored, amazed he wiped out the wolves with one strike. That huge explosion, however, has attracted some unwanted attention. Gazeria's crew is here. One of the goons just stares in total disbelief, his brain refusing to process the scene. And there is Gazeria himself, absolutely furious that his intended victim is somehow still alive. His lackey is also losing it, unable to believe Shun actually defeated all those monsters. Lise, the girl he saved, just claps back, basically asking how many times she has to repeat it. Trying to save face, the goon points out that Shun is just the washed-up, swift rookie. But she is having absolutely none of it, grabbing the guy and telling him to shut his mouth. She is actually super impressed since everyone knows Gazeria is a famous and feared adventurer. With a blush, she formally introduces herself to her hero, calling him Shun-sama, which immediately sends Shun into a panic, insisting she really does not need to be so formal. Her name is Lee Schwar and she has decided he has earned the title. End of discussion. Gazeria's crony just seethes in the background, salty that this guy gets all the girls. Meanwhile, Shun is having a private crisis, staring at his new level -1 status. He checks his stats, which are now so pathetic that a stiff breeze could probably kill him. At least he's got a cool new error skill called Black Flame Magic to show for it. He thinks back to that insane spell, knowing it was way beyond any normal limits, because a move with that much power should have taken years of intense training to master. Lise just smiles sweetly, admitting she has absolutely no idea what is going on either. But Shun just gives a small, knowing smile, a secret confidence in his eyes. With this new power, Shun thinks he might finally be able to live up to his father's legacy. But that sweet moment is shattered as a terrifying presence rocks the entire cave. Gazeria and his goon are completely frozen, wondering what kind of monster just showed up. And from the shadows emerges a colossal, glowing blue dragon, not exactly on the dungeon's list of local fauna. It is a void dragon demiurgos, and its level is just a bunch of question marks, which is never a good sign. Gazeria immediately accuses Shun of summoning it, but our boy insists he is not responsible for this raid boss. As the dragon lets out a roar, they realize this is not a summon, it is a wild, pissed-off god-tier monster. Gazeria's lackey absolutely loses his mind, screaming in pure, unadulterated terror. Even Gazeria himself is sweating bullets, completely out of his depth against whatever this is. Then a vision hits Shun, a white-haired swordsman facing this very same dragon. He clutches his head as a forgotten memory tries to force its way back into his mind. Somehow, deep down, he knows this creature, a fact that makes zero sense. He remembers Golden Boy's words about something he'd forgotten, and the pieces start to click. Snapping back to the present, the dragon is still very much there and very much a problem for everyone. And just to make things worse, the two dead wolves suddenly start glowing and getting back up. It seems the dragon has a healing skill that can literally revive the dead, because why not? Gazeria's crony correctly assesses that this situation has gone from bad to we are all gonna die. Right on cue, the dragon starts charging up a breath attack aimed right at them. This goon throws up a magic shield, a move that feels like putting a band-aid on a nuke. Shun just screams at him to run, knowing that trying to block that attack is a suicide mission. Predictably, that paper-thin shield gets absolutely annihilated by the dragon's breath attack. His face just melts in pure terror as he is completely erased from the scene, a bad day at the office. While Gazeria is just staring in shock, Shun realizes he knew this was coming somehow. This dragon's skill set is just absurd. It can manipulate time to revive its minions and reset the battlefield. Lee suddenly shoves Shun behind her, telling him to run for his life. With her sword at the ready, she declares it is her turn to repay the favor, a classic hero move. Shun immediately protests that it is reckless, knowing there is something fundamentally wrong with this monster. She is completely baffled since time manipulation skills are not exactly standard monster abilities. Ignoring their conversation, the dragon just charges up another massive beam of pure destruction. That giant blue death beam fires straight at Lise, who is standing right in the blast zone. She braces for impact, but someone suddenly jumps in front of her, because Shun has thrown himself in the way, taking the full blast to protect her. As the energy explodes around them, he knows it is do or die and decides to take a massive gamble. A shocked Lise can only stare, her own hair flashing white from the sheer power overload. She screams his name in a panic, but Shun is completely zoned in on the task at hand. This raw power of the dragon's attack slams into him and he screams, trying to hold it back. But his hand starts to glitch out, crackling with that familiar dark purple error energy. With glowing eyes, he grits his teeth, forcing his body to endure the impossible strain. Lise can only watch in absolute horror, tears welling up as he takes the hit for her. He seems to be absorbing the attack, and that forgotten memory from before starts to become clear. He clenches his fist, realizing that his forgotten memory of this fight is absolutely correct. And the system just completely loses its mind, detecting a power that should not exist. A sinister grin spreads across Shun's face as he is wrapped in that chaotic error energy. Suddenly, his new error status kicks into auto mode, literally deconstructing the dragon's attack. It is a one-time freebie for hitting negative levels, which also completely erases all his injuries. Our boy is back to full health, his eyes glowing with a newfound, terrifying confidence. Looking at his own power, he confirms that the memory of fighting this dragon is his own. Just like Golden Boy promised, being a total failure has made him way stronger than before. Lise can only stare in awe as Shun now faces the colossal dragon head-on. She starts wondering if he is actually some kind of legendary hero from the old stories. This dragon itself seems a bit taken aback that this tiny human suddenly is not dying. This surprise quickly turns to pure rage because how dare this appetizer fight back. It looms over him, ready to crush him like a bug, a very, very big bug zapper. But Shun just scoffs, calling the dragon's overwhelming power completely useless against him. He then activates his error skill, summoning a massive shadow beast of black flame magic. This shadowy attack slams right into the dragon's face, which looks appropriately surprised. This black flames begin to consume the massive beast as Shun draws his sword. Its eyes glow red with fury, clearly not used to being on the receiving end of an attack. While the dragon is distracted, Shun rushes in, closing the distance for a killing blow. He recalls Golden Boy's words again, knowing he has forgotten memories key to this fight. Shun realizes this new error skill has more applications than just Big Boom, and he channels that raw, glitchy power straight into his sword, unleashing a secret technique he somehow remembers, the Secret Sword of Origin, which he then launches with a full-throated anime scream, and a massive spectral dragon of pure dark energy just devours the real one. This system rewards this overkill by dropping his level to -3 and giving him a second error skill, because of course it does. He is just staring at his hand, wondering what new game-breaking bug he has unlocked this time. But with a confident smirk, he knows that hitting rock bottom has made him a god. Sometime later, they have made it back to town, the whole near-death experience already behind them. Lise is now sticking to him like glue, clearly having appointed herself his #1 fan. So Shun finally has to ask why she is following him to the Adventurers Guild, and she gets this fiery look in her eyes declaring her reason is perfectly logical, which is just because you are here, a reason that completely short-circuits Shun's brain. She insists it is important because he is her lifesaver, while he just wants the hero worship to stop. After escaping the dungeon, he pretty much just gives up and accepts his new shadow. He also made sure to harvest the dragon parts, wisely deciding not to tell anyone he soloed a mythical beast. This negative level power is great, but he has still got a ton of questions about his own forgotten past. For now, though, the plan is simple: go to the guild and get paid for his loot. But Lee suddenly stops him, looking all concerned for his well-being, and offers to just become his sponsor, an offer that sends Shun into a full-blown panic. Shun overhears some adventurers gossiping about a huge, unmeasurable level dragon that just appeared nearby. Lise knows this is bad, since news is spreading fast and Gazaria's disappearance will only raise more questions. He awkwardly tries to apologize for dragging her into the whole mess back in the dungeon, but she just gives him a sly smile, promising his secret is safe with her. Our boy is completely floored by how quickly she picked up on the situation. He realizes that while she seems a bit ditzy, she is actually incredibly reliable. With a genuine smile, Shun thanks her for understanding, clearly relieved. Their next stop is the Adventurers Guild, presumably to cash in his loot. As they walk in, Shun already looks like he is expecting trouble. This other adventurers immediately start whispering about the washed-up swift rookie with the garbage skill. While Lise is ready to throw down, Shun just calmly tells her to ignore them. He's also thinking it is probably best not to mention he now has 2 game-breaking skills. At the counter, he asks to exchange his Blood Wolf materials for cash. This receptionist stops him, though, asking to confirm he was in Dungeon 37. This sends Shun into a quiet panic, thinking they somehow know about the Void Dragon. Turns out she's just concerned since a powerful monster was reported and Gazaria is now officially missing. She's just glad he is safe, and all Shun can do is laugh nervously. But then a strange, glitchy voice echoes through the guild, telling everyone to wait. Both Shun and Lise whip around, instantly on guard from the mysterious sound. This other adventurers are just as confused, wondering where that voice just came from. A massive purple magic circle suddenly materializes on the guild ceiling, getting everyone's attention. This other adventurers are completely stunned, wondering what fresh hell is about to break loose. From the circle, a sinister purple energy snakes down, revealing a woman just chilling on a balcony. Shun immediately recognizes who this is, while the rest of the guild wisely hits the floor. Turns out it is the S-rank adventurer Eurisha, the Sword Phantom, a master of illusion magic. She is already at the counter, reporting that she checked Dungeon 37 and found it completely empty. This receptionist is shocked, mentioning that dead blood wolves were found near the dragon's location. Eurisha's gaze sharpens, her eyes scanning the room and locking onto someone very specific. And just like that, she is right in Shun's personal space, asking if he knows anything about the incident. Our boy is completely flustered by the sudden attention and her apparently very distracting perfume. Some random guild staffer decides to pipe up, reminding her that Shun has the useless level down skill. He then proceeds to call Shun trash, who can barely handle a simple blood wolf, real helpful dude. Eurisha just gives the guy this super sweet closed-eye smile, which immediately turns into a death glare as she telepathically tells him to shut his mouth. This loudmouth is suddenly choking, completely silenced by her illusion magic. She casually pats his shoulder, reassuring everyone he will be able to talk again in about a year. With that interruption handled, she turns back to Shun, who plays dumb about the whole dragon thing. She gives him a look that says, "I know you're lying, but I will play along for now." As she walks away, Shun breathes a sigh of relief, thinking he has actually gotten away with it. But then she whips around and lunges at him with a dagger, because S-ranks do not do subtle interrogations. Shun barely manages to throw up a block as she comes at him out of nowhere. Her dagger meets his arm in a flash of dark energy, a split-second defense, revealing he is using some kind of phantom counterattack to stop the blade, but the dagger is still pressed right against his side, a really bad spot to be in. So he unleashes his black flame magic, trying to create some distance between them. Eurisha seems almost amused by his strange skill, but she is clearly not impressed. As their powers collide in a massive burst of purple and blue light, she easily overpowers him, declaring his tricks are useless against her illusion magic. With a knife to his gut, she demands to know what he is hiding about the dungeon. Our boy is just sweating bullets, completely cornered by the S-rank adventurer. This S-rank gives him a terrifyingly sweet smile, calling herself a champion of justice, Shurjan, while explaining she is hunting for error monsters and needs to know which side he is on, promising to silence him permanently if he is an enemy, just like that other loudmouth. He recognizes the silencing magic, realizing he is in some seriously deep trouble, all while lamenting that his plan to lay low has officially gone up in smoke. Forced into a corner, Shun decides to activate his second brand-new error skill, which makes Eurisha's jaw drop, clearly not expecting this level of power from him, and he unleashes that chaotic energy ready to finally make a scene, because the entire guild is now staring at the supposed trash rookie powering up. But Shun grits his teeth knowing he has to go all out to survive this interrogation. Shun activates his second error skill, flooding the entire guild with chaotic purple energy. Eurisha's smug expression falters for a split second, clearly not expecting this kind of power. He channels the principle of attack into his sword, clashing directly with the S-rank adventurer. With a full-throated scream, he pours every ounce of his new strength into the strike, but Eurisha just grins, noticing her own power has suddenly increased from his attack. This resulting blast of energy sends Shun flying backwards, completely overwhelmed. She looms over him, mockingly asking if he was holding back this whole time. Then she immediately adds that it did not look like it, just to rub salt in the wound. Meanwhile, the rest of the guild is just gawking, wondering how this rookie is even alive. Lise, on the other hand, just smirks like she knew this would happen all along. In the standoff, Eurisha finally puts a name to the face she is interrogating, Shun Bright. Our boy is busy analyzing his new skill, trying to understand how principle of attack works. He figures it is some kind of raw power boost, but the mechanics are still a mystery. His status screen is a garbled mess, but the numbers are still somehow readable, and those numbers show his attack power is now 210, a casual 10 times multiplier. He knows this breaks all the rules since attack stats should not change outside of leveling up. Eurisha gives him a sly SHHH gesture, as if she is in on a secret he is not. This completely throws Shun for a loop, leaving him totally confused by her reaction. Suddenly, a forgotten memory flashes through his mind, a hand marked with a strange blue symbol, followed by a vision of that same golden-haired guy engulfed in roaring flames. Eurisha's illusion drops him into a fiery hellscape where monsters are slaughtering adventurers. And in the middle of the chaos, a brown-haired guy who looks just like him is trying to save people. But his lookalike completely fails to protect anyone, and Shun realizes this is all Eurisha's test. Snapping back to reality, Shun glares at her, demanding to know the point of this whole mind game. This illusion then shifts to show Eurisha herself, looking like a damsel in distress. Yeah, right. Meanwhile, the real Eurisha is just watching his reaction, clearly getting the answers she wanted. Turns out this was a test of character, and she is impressed he did not just freak out. Her logic is that his calm reaction proves he is not some brainwashed enemy agent, which is a leap but okay. With a flick of her wrist, the illusion shatters, leaving her looking smug as hell. She offers a half-hearted apology, confirming he is not an enemy, as if that makes the knife-to-the-gut thing okay. Completely flustered, our boy stammers that he was not trying to be malicious. Getting way too close for comfort, she correctly guesses he just wanted to avoid drama and he knows he has been found out. She then praises him, admitting that almost nobody can parry her sword, a classic good cop, bad cop routine. All Shun can do is offer a quiet thank you, because what else do you say to the psycho who just tried to gut you? Her business with Shun concluded, she turns back to the guild staffer she put on mute earlier. A flick of her wrist and the silencing magic is gone, graciously allowing the guy to use his vocal cords again. Turning back to Shun, she apologizes with a smile, blaming her hot-headedness for the, misunderstanding. But her face immediately twists into a sadistic grin as she admits she just loves bullying the weak. Hearing this, the poor staffer is absolutely petrified, letting out a pathetic little squeak. That is all it takes for him and his buddy to run for their lives, leaving Eurisha to call out to Shun again. Eurisha leans in, offering to do something nice for Shun as an apology for the whole attempted stabbing incident. With a totally trustworthy smile, she tells him to just sit down and relax, she will not do anything bad. At that moment, a crowd of adventurers start screaming her name, begging for just a few seconds of her time. An actual line of fanboys has formed, all desperate to get a moment with the S-rank adventurer. This is not just a line, it is a full-blown pilgrimage snaking its way through the entire guild hall. She casually dismisses one guy by telling him to try again in 10 years, and he thanks her profusely for the honor. As Shun tries to process what he is seeing, Lise just deadpans that it is her fan club. What a nuisance. Brushing off her legion of admirers, Eurisha turns back to Shun, saying she does not care about guys like that. Then she drops the bombshell, asking Shun to go out with her, leaving him and Lise completely speechless. Her entire fan club collectively short-circuits in the background, their dreams shattering in real time. While Lise loses her mind over the indecent proposal, Eurisha quickly clarifies she did not mean it that asterisk way. This real offer is for him to join the elite organization Levventin and work alongside her. Our boy is just trying to keep up, clearly unsure how to respond to this sudden job offer. He finally snaps, shouting that there is no way in hell he can understand any of this. Turns out Levventin is the kingdom's top-tier organization exclusively for S-rank adventurers. Their whole purpose is to fight unmeasurable error monsters. just like the Void Dragon he definitely knows nothing about. These things are apparently capable of wiping out entire towns single-handedly, hence the need for an elite squad. Shun is completely baffled, wondering why they'd want him when his level-down skill makes him the lowest E rank. Getting right back in his personal space, she asks the million-dollar question, "You are the one who beat the Void Dragon, right?" She explains that since error monsters are a threat even to S ranks, she is always scouting for anyone with potential. Shun is completely blindsided by the offer, stammering that this is all happening way too fast. He points out she is recruiting him in front of the entire guild, but she just tells him not to sweat the details. All the other adventurers are just staring, realizing the trash rookie is being scouted for the legendary Levventin. Eurisha then dangles the ultimate bait, suggesting he can finally get revenge on everyone who ever mocked him. This just fuels the gossip, with the whole room whispering about how that guy is getting the golden ticket. For a second, Shun actually considers it, thinking this is how the strong are finally recognized for their power. He admits to himself that he is happy about the offer, but there is a much bigger reason he has to refuse. A painful memory flashes back, his father, also an adventurer, leaving him behind as a child. His dad had apologized, knowing he was breaking his son's heart by heading off on some unknown quest. With a final promise to return, he told a young Shun to just be a good boy until then, a classic dead dad line. But all the kid wanted was to become an adventurer and fight alongside his papa, not be abandoned. As his father disappeared into the light, Shun made a solemn vow to find him no matter what it took. Back in the present, that old promise hardens his resolve just as Eurisha tries to get him moving. She grabs his arm, ready to drag him off to meet the leader because consent is clearly optional. With a dazzling smile, she announces they are off to meet the boss while Shun is still processing. He finally manages to stop her, calling it a wonderful proposal, but with absolute conviction in his eyes, he formally rejects her invitation right then and there. But that is when her sweet perfume hits him again and her purple magic begins to cloud his senses. Eurisha's voice echoes from the haze, confirming that he is actually turning her down, so she just appears behind him, wrapping him in a magical embrace and declaring she will take him by force. Eurisha's magic swirls around him as she declares she is taking him, consent be damned. This powerful charm magic hits him hard, making his head spin as he tries to fight it off. In his mind, a blindfolded version of her whispers for him to just give in and obey her command. He is forced to his knees, struggling to stay conscious against her overwhelming mental attack. Even under pressure, Shun insists he has his own goals that he absolutely has to pursue. Eurisha looks genuinely shocked, realizing he is breaking her mind control with his own willpower. At that moment, Lise jumps in to play bodyguard, demanding the S-rank adventurer back off. With a sigh, Eurisha relents, acting all casual like it was no big deal anyway. She immediately pivots the conversation, bringing up the mystery of the Void Dragon's sudden appearance. Shun has to agree with her on that point. The dragon's arrival is still a total unknown. A quick flashback reminds him how the beast materialized from nothing, a truly baffling event. He is lost in thought while Eurisha watches him intently, still trying to read his every move. She then explains that Levventin's intel predicted an error monster would pop up right around here. That is why she was so aggressive, hoping to squeeze a few more clues out of him. Our boy finally gets it. Her whole intense act is because she is desperate to hunt these monsters. His attention is then drawn to two familiar figures standing at the guild's main entrance. He recognizes them instantly. They are the two goons who worked for that creep Gazaria in the dungeon. Suddenly, a blade of blue energy comes flying right for his head out of nowhere, and the entire guild hall erupts in flames as stone golems start materializing among the adventurers. A massive golem towers over the crowd, confirming the guild is now under a full-blown enemy assault. With a battle cry, the guild's adventurers finally jump into the fight, charging the stone monsters head-on. This golem's glowing blue eyes stare blankly from its rocky face, radiating pure menace. But these things are absolute units, towering over the adventurers and shrugging off their attacks. A direct punch sends one poor soul flying backwards, completely overpowered by the golem's strength. Unfazed, the golem just clenches its rocky fist, clearly not feeling a single thing. Then it starts moving with impossible speed, phasing around attacks like it is nothing, which results in another adventurer getting absolutely launched across the room. And look who shows up, a smug-looking guy with two ladies, calling the whole disaster regrettable. His smugness vanishes when a golem teleports right in his face, leaving him totally baffled. His blonde companion quickly uses an appraisal stone, trying to figure out what they are dealing with. This stone identifies it as a leap golem, but its level is just a bunch of question marks. She panics about the unreadable level, but her boss just calmly announces that round 2 has begun. It is an error monster attack, alright, and she realizes there are countless more where that came from. Back with our S-rank, Eurisha is powering up, surrounded by crackling purple energy and looking furious. She creates a whole line of magical clones because one S-rank psycho apparently is not enough. Our boy Shun just watches in amazement, barely able to process the power she is unleashing. She declares herself a champion of justice, says the woman who tried to gut Shun 5 minutes ago. Her eyes glow a furious red as she roars that she will never, ever forgive this interruption. In a flash of purple light, she dives right into the horde of golems, ready to tear them apart. With her clones at the ready, Eurisha prepares to show these invaders what a real monster looks like. Eurisha and her clones unleash a storm of magical whips, absolutely tearing through the battlefield. Shun is just floored, realizing her illusions are somehow solid enough to cause actual physical damage. One of her copies goes full rage mode, vowing to make the invaders pay for their rudeness priorities right. His attention then snaps to the guild entrance where more adventurers are getting torched by the assault. On the rooftops, he spots even more golems, knowing that even an S rank cannot handle this many alone. Deciding to jump in, Shun tells Lise to get everyone else to safety while he plays hero. With purple energy flaring, he psyches himself up for yet another fight he is totally not prepared for. A kid is about to get turned into a pancake by a golem, screaming for help in the middle of the chaos. At the very last second, Shun zips in, blocking the massive stone fist with his sword. He activates his principle of attack skill, channeling a huge surge of power into his blade. After knocking the golem back, he tells the terrified kid to get the hell out of there. This kid scrambles away with a quick thank you, leaving Shun to face the music alone. And the music is three giant, glowing-eyed rock monsters ready to stomp him into the floor. Our boy quickly checks his stats, calculating the energy cost of his very limited bag of tricks. He realizes his attack buff is temporary, so he will need his big-ticket black flame magic to win this efficiently. Looking back at the ongoing destruction, he knows he has to make his next move count. Then he notices the golems are not using their teleport ability on Eurysia, who is just dancing around them. A sudden realization hits him about the golem's targeting system, a classic aha moment. Just then, a golem warps right into his personal space, proving his theory a little too quickly. Knowing what is coming, he braces himself, understanding he has one shot to survive this next attack. This golem phases forward in a blur of blue energy, moving way too fast to track. Shun is getting absolutely hammered, realizing these things are not just fast, they hit like a truck. Even with his guard up, his health bar is just getting chipped away with every single blow. From the sidelines, the kid he saved watches in terror, calling him big brother and begging him not to lose. One of the golems just stands there flexing, radiating pure you are already dead energy. But our boy grits his teeth, raising his sword with a look that says he is not done yet. He keeps fighting back against the impossible odds, refusing to give up his ground. Lise can only watch in horror from a distance, screaming his name in desperation. Forced to a knee, Shun finally figures it out. There is only one way to beat these guys. A sudden realization dawns on him. Their ability is not actually teleportation at all. He deduces they just move at insane speeds in straight lines, which gives him a very big, very bad idea. And right on cue, the golems line up perfectly, practically begging to be turned into a shish kebab. With a smirk, Shun activates his trump card, unleashing his error skill, Black Flame Magic. This skill name pops up in dramatic purple font because of course it does, style points matter. He unleashes a massive torrent of purple-black energy, completely engulfing the battlefield. That kid and his mom just stare in absolute awe at the insane light show. Even Lise is completely stunned, watching the E-rank rookie pull off S-rank level destruction. A massive pillar of dark magic erupts, leaving nothing but dust where the golems used to be. Surrounded by crackling energy, Shun looks totally calm as if this was all part of the plan, and those two goons from the entrance are just short-circuiting, wondering what the hell kind of magic that was. Eurysia watches from the smoldering ruins, realizing it is not just Shun's magic that is impressive. She understands he was patiently waiting for the perfect opening to line up all three golems. This confirms her suspicions. Our boy is way more than just some lucky E-rank rookie. Suddenly, Shun gets a system notification that pops up out of nowhere, catching him off guard. His level actually drops to -4, but hey, at least his max energy points went up. On top of that, he unlocks a brand new error skill called Revenger Curse, which sounds perfectly safe. Our boy is totally baffled, wondering what the heck a Revenger Curse even is. Turns out it is a full-on counter skill that reflects any damage he takes right back at the attacker. He starts connecting the dots, thinking this might be tied to his curse slowly breaking. A quick memory of some mysterious smiling figure flashes by, making him wonder if this was all planned. He is still trying to process getting yet another ridiculously powerful and unknown skill. Just then, the kid he saved from the golem runs up, calling him Big Brother. With a huge smile, the little guy thanks him for the rescue, looking absolutely starstruck. Shun seems genuinely moved by the kid's sincere gratitude, a rare moment of peace for him. He tells the kid and his mom he is just glad they are safe, playing the humble hero role perfectly. Later that night, rain starts to pour over the town, washing away the chaos of the battle. An old man who is definitely the mayor is just bawling his eyes out with gratitude towards Shun. This guy is so overcome with emotion he is hugging his own guard, while Shun awkwardly tries to calm him down. It turns out the kid Shun saved was the mayor's own granddaughter, which explains the waterworks. And now he is the guest of honor at a feast, being plied with drinks and finally enjoying the hero treatment. Eurysia gets way too close for comfort, telling a flustered Shun to stop being so modest. She raises a whole bottle of wine, insisting he hold his head high for being a hero. A very drunk Lise slams her mug down, agreeing that Shun is the most wonderful person ever. With another round on the way, our boy just awkwardly soaks in all the praise for once. From the sidelines, one of Gazeria's old goons watches, absolutely seething with jealousy. His buddy agrees, convinced Shun must be cheating to get this much attention, a truly baffling take. But the kid Shun saved marches right up, telling the losers to stop making fun of his big brother. He gives them the full-on disappointed stare, asking if they have any shame as grown-ups. These goons are totally flustered, trying to explain their pathetic worldview to a very angry child. This kid is not having it though, yelling at them for talking trash about other people. He even schools them on basic manners, leaving the two idiots completely speechless. Overhearing the whole thing, Shun cannot help but laugh as his tiny bodyguard wins the argument. He takes a drink, thinking to himself that for now at least, peace has finally returned. Eurisha, however, is still all business, watching him intently over the rim of her mug, and she suddenly gets his attention, asking if he remembers what they discussed earlier. She points out that she sensed no presence at all before the error monsters just appeared. Shun immediately makes the connection. It is the exact same way the Void Dragon materialized. This confirms a nagging suspicion that has been bothering him for a while now. He recalls realizing Gazaria was not the true summoner, meaning a bigger threat is still out there. Putting the pieces together, Shun asks Eurisha why her intel pointed to this specific location. Eurisha explains the simple rule: error monsters love to revisit their old haunting grounds. A map confirms the pattern, though the why is still a big fat question mark. Shun starts connecting the dots, wondering if this is just random luck or a deliberate setup. His mind races with the possibility that there is a guiding hand behind all this chaos. Then it clicks and our boy gets that classic "oh crap, I am an idiot" look on his face. He immediately grabs Eurisha, telling her they need to go like right now. Standing under the stars, he admits he might have missed a very important clue. They head out into the wrecked city streets, ready to investigate his sudden hunch. Meanwhile, two shady guys are inspecting the golem corpses, noting they were only at half strength. This leader smirks, realizing it is the same deal as the Void Dragon incident. He figures these summoned monsters need a warm-up period to sync with the world, a real design flaw. His partner just casually agrees, standing among the rubble like it is a Tuesday afternoon. Their little debrief gets rudely interrupted by Shun's sword crashing down on them. Our boy pushes forward, his purple energy flaring as he overpowers the goon's block. With Eurisha backing him up, he calls them out, saying he knew they were up to no good. This main goon is just annoyed, complaining he forgot to put up his people-repelling barrier. Great security, dude. Eurisha recognizes them instantly, realizing they are the same two clowns from the guild earlier. Shun confirms it with a flashback. These are definitely Gazaria's old cronies, still causing trouble. This villain then starts monologuing, revealing that the monster attacks are all part of a plan. A quick montage shows these two were conveniently present for both the dragon and golem attacks. Case closed. Shun realizes Gazaria was just a pawn for the real mastermind pulling the strings all along, and right on cue the two goons confirm it, smugly admitting they are the ones behind the attacks. This lead villain just stands there, looking down on them from the rubble. He is actually impressed, admitting they left clues on purpose just to see if Shun was smart enough. Eurisha is immediately suspicious, questioning why they'd ever leave traces deliberately. His partner then fakes some crocodile tears, claiming they are just heartbroken over losing Gazaria. Having heard enough, Eurisha just launches herself at him in a blur of purple energy. She absolutely slams the guy with a massive magical whip, ready to end the conversation. With a cold smile, she tells him she really hates noisy men. She moves in for the final blow, intent on shutting his mouth for good. Her attack forms a blade right at his head, a clear and final warning. This full view shows her unleashing a powerful strike meant to take him out instantly. But the other villain just smirks, finding her unannounced attack a little harsh. He catches her magic with his bare hand, casually explaining her attacks will not work on them. Eurisha is completely floored, realizing her S-rank level attack did absolutely no damage. She calls out his mysterious technique, clearly not used to being blocked so easily. This villain then compliments her, correctly identifying her as an S-rank adventurer. A strange mark begins to glow on his face as his smile turns downright evil. He then drops a massive bombshell, revealing he knows Shun is the son of someone named Pharaohs. Shun is totally stunned, demanding to know how this guy could possibly know his father's name. This villain gleefully confirms he knows Shun's dad while his partner tells him to can it. With a smug laugh, the guy apologizes for almost spilling the secrets, a truly punchable performance. But Shun is not playing games, radiating dark energy as he gives a single chilling command: talk. This villain just keeps that condescending smile, completely unfazed by the death glare he is receiving. Eyes glowing with pure rage, Shun demands they tell him everything they know right now. A painful flashback hits, showing a young Shun begging his father, Pharaohs, not to leave on a sacrificial mission. His dad just smiles gently, realizing the kid overheard the whole grim conversation with his mom. Pharaohs then apologizes, explaining this is the only way to stop the mastermind creating all the monsters. This kid is absolutely heartbroken, crying that he just wanted to be an adventurer with his hero dad. Through his tears, he makes a vow to get stronger and one day find his father no matter what. We see him training alone as a kid while villagers mock him as the son of the savior who never returned. They laugh at him for still believing his dad could actually rid the world of monsters, small-town charm at its finest. His hand clenches in pure frustration, forced to listen to them trash his family's name. One of the bullies then stomps right on his hand just to be an absolute garbage person. This kid taunts him, sneering that in the end his legendary father is nothing but trash. He keeps piling on, calling the titles of World's Strongest and World's Hope a complete joke. From the dirt, Shun screams back that his father is not dead or a failure, and for his defiance, he gets a fist driven straight into his stomach, knocking the wind out of him. This bully looms over him, deciding that from now on, Shun is officially his personal toy. Back in the present, all that trauma fuels his cold fury as he repeats his demand, his patience completely gone. Surrounded by a storm of purple energy, Shun's rage is practically boiling over. This lead villain just scoffs, telling him to give up because he is not worth the explanation, peak bad guy energy. Done with the conversation, Shun explodes forward in a blur of dark magic, aiming right for his face. For the first time, the villain looks genuinely shocked, completely caught off guard by the attack. A massive blast of energy sends the goon flying backwards across the ruined street. He skids to a halt while his partner just watches the show, looking mildly impressed. In fact, this partner is absolutely thrilled, gushing that Shun's power is even more amazing than before. Shun turns to Eurisia, telling her in no uncertain terms to stay out of this fight. With pure determination, he vows that he will be the one to take these two down, no matter what. Eurisia watches him, finally understanding the depth of his connection to this whole mess. This partner just laughs it off, calling Shun scary before casually pointing to the ground. And with a snap of his fingers, he summons a whole squad of mini golems to swarm our boy. Suddenly, Shun finds himself completely surrounded by a fresh batch of rock monsters. He does not even flinch, just calmly taking in the new, very disposable-looking threats. His opponent gleefully invites the new minions to jump Shun all at once, a real sportsman. But before they can even take a step, Shun unleashes a single, devastating wave that shatters them all. Eurisia is completely stunned, barely able to process the instantaneous counterattack. Even the villain who summoned them looks a little taken aback by the speed of his failure. This lead villain comments on how surprising it was to see his partner's minions get wiped out instantly. He then scolds his partner, Carla, for playing around and reminds her of a message from their boss. Carla's partner warns her that pharaohs will get angry, and Shun is absolutely stunned to hear his dad's name. With his eyes glowing pure red, Shun demands to know why they are even saying his father's name. Carla just laughs it off, telling him to forget she ever said anything, a masterclass in being punchable. Completely done with their games, Shun lunges forward, his sword blazing with purple energy. This attack connects in a massive explosion of power, clearly meant to end the conversation. He puts every ounce of his rage into the strike, determined to get some answers, but he is completely shocked by what he actually hits. Turns out he just sliced through a bunch of cheap decoy clones, not the real villains. Standing over the shattered fakes, Shun gets taunted from afar about how dangerous he is. This two of them have already warped to a rooftop, impressed that he could even destroy their clones. Her partner immediately scolds her again, reminding her that provoking the target is strictly forbidden. Down on the street, Shun just glares up at them, and Carla has the nerve to call him scary. She then cheekily suggests that for more details, he should just ask the lady over there. With a smug look, Carla says Eurisia should now understand why she was attacked earlier. Eurisia tells her to stop talking, and Carla just casually agrees to leave it at that. Their objective is apparently complete, she says, promising they will definitely meet again sometime. Waving a little goodbye, the two clowns step into a magic portal to make their grand exit. But a menacing red eye appears in the darkness, asking if they really think they can just escape. Carla looks back over her shoulder, completely caught off guard by this sudden interruption, and Shun is already there, his sword now a massive dark scythe ready to cut their escape short. Shun brings down his scythe with full force, trying to shred their escape portal to pieces. Her partner cannot believe the power, completely stunned by the sheer scale of the attack. Right in his face, Shun reminds him that he is the one who is going to end this. Their blades clash in a chaotic storm of purple and yellow sparks. With a final push, our boy screams that he is taking them both down right here. Both villains manage to block the onslaught, though Carla's smile is looking a little forced. His eyes are burning with pure rage as he repeats his promise to defeat them. But the partner just throws up a casual-looking energy shield, deflecting the whole attack. He even has the nerve to scoff, completely unimpressed with Shun's best shot. Shun is just left speechless, watching his ultimate move get swatted away like a fly. This guy compliments his fighting spirit before calling him too light. What a motivational speaker. Not even close to done, Shun readies another attack from above. Carla just laughs, saying she was about to let him go, but now he is just being annoying. Her sudden shift in tone catches Shun completely off guard. So he unleashes a brand new technique, channeling black flame magic into his hand. It erupts into a terrifying bolt of black lightning aimed right at Carla. This resulting explosion is massive, engulfing the entire rooftop in a flash of light. But Carla is still standing, examining her smoking hand and wondering about this new lightning skill. Shun himself is trying to connect the dots, wondering if it is related to his black flame magic. With a knowing smirk, Carla realizes his power is just like hers, confirming he is using their master's energy. Shun stares at his hand, trying to figure out why his power is the exact same as theirs. Her partner admits they are also shocked that Pharaoh's kid awakened this much power on his own. He then extends a casual invitation, asking if Shun has any intention of coming with them. Our boy's answer is a hard no, telling them to surrender and start talking immediately. With a dramatic stomp, he repeats his demand for them to spill every secret they know. Carla just cackles, announcing that negotiations have officially failed. Oh, the tragedy. Her sword ignites with golden light as she declares they have no choice but to fight. Shun charges forward to meet her, his own blade erupting in a storm of purple energy. But as their swords connect, he is completely shocked to see her blade phase right through his. This close-up on his eye shows pure, unadulterated confusion at this impossible technique. In a flash, she is behind him, landing a clean swipe across his back while he is still processing. Even Carla seems a little surprised, wondering if this is really all the power Pharaoh's son has. Shun grits his teeth through the pain, refusing to go down that easily. He leaps into the air for a powerful overhead strike, putting everything into the attack. At that moment, he realizes she just teleported, finally understanding her instant movement skill. Seeing he is outmatched, Eurisha jumps in from the rooftops, ready to offer some backup, but Shun immediately shuts her down, insisting that he is the one who will defeat them. To prove it, he unleashes a massive pillar of dark energy, his power absolutely exploding. Eyes glowing red, he dares them to come at him together, promising to finish this for good. And Carla's response is just to clap with glee, absolutely thrilled by the tremendous power display. Carla just loves the drama, calling Shun reckless for trying to fight them alone. Her partner, though, is all business, warning her not to underestimate Pharaoh's kid. They both get ready for the final showdown, with Carla calling it a glorious end. She is having way too much fun. Her partner leads the charge, kicking up a storm of red energy as he lunges forward. He slams his sword into the roof, summoning a massive, jagged mountain of blades from the ground. Shun is completely blindsided, staring up at the sheer scale of this new attack. It is a literal mountain of swords, a ridiculous display of power aimed right at him. Not to be outdone, Carla decides to add her own special touch to the sword apocalypse. With a casual snap of her fingers, she activates her part of the combo. And suddenly, every single one of those swords launches into the sky, ready to rain down. They call it an unavoidable rain of death, and our boy is stuck right in the middle of it. He can only brace himself as the deadly barrage comes screaming down from above. Watching from another rooftop, Eurisha screams his name, absolutely horrified. This attack lands hard, and Shun gets torn apart by the storm of blades. Staggering back, he is barely staying on his feet under the brutal, relentless assault. But through the pain and wreckage, he is still standing, refusing to be broken. Her partner is completely floored, unable to process how Shun survived their ultimate move. With a furious roar, Shun unleashes a shockwave of dark energy, shattering the remaining swords. Even Carla looks genuinely surprised, her smug little smile finally gone. And then a mysterious message appears in a burst of purple energy. Error skill activation. Turns out that Error was a brand new skill called Revenger Curse activating on Carla's partner. This rules are simple, any damage Shun takes gets reflected right back at the attacker, instant karma. And suddenly Carla is bleeding all over the place, completely baffled as to what just happened. Our boy stands there, having baited them into hitting him just to trigger this trap. Her partner finally puts it together, realizing in horror that Shun has this curse ability. Carla, on the other hand, is just cackling, absolutely loving that he played them so perfectly. Not giving them a second to breathe, Shun unleashes his next secret sword technique. It is a massive, devastating slash of purple energy called Kagetsuchi. This attack sends Carla flying, finally wiping that smug grin off her face. With both villains down for the count, Eurisha finally jumps into the fray. She whips out a binding spell, her hand glowing with a golden magic circle. In a flash, both Carla and her partner are tied up in glowing magical ropes, completely neutralized. But the partner is just laughing his head off, calling the whole display magnificent. What a weirdo. Eurisha praises Shun's power as expected of Pharaoh's son, but calls the whole situation a shame. Her partner agrees, saying there are better paths for someone with Shun's talent. Shun just casually waves a hand, dismissing their last-ditch recruitment effort. He's completely done with their games, telling them they are just plain annoying, and now he stands over them, the two villains defeated and bound on the rooftop. He looks down, exhausted but resolute after that insane battle. Eurisha watches him while Shun seems to be lost in thought, processing the victory. With the fight finally over, Shun stumbles from exhaustion, getting caught by Eurisha. She asks if he is okay, and our boy can only apologize for all the trouble he has caused. Eurisha is just internally freaking out, completely floored by the insane power he just unleashed. Looking at the now empty rooftop, Shun asks her who those two clowns even were. She just tells him not to worry, trying to calm him down after that absolute mess of a battle. Turns out she'd already called for guild backup just in case things went sideways. But she admits they are a step too late since the villains have already vanished without a trace. Seeing how beat up he is, Eurisha offers him a fancy-looking health potion. It is her special superior recovery potion, which sounds way more impressive than it probably is. She then offers to give it to him mouth to mouth, and Shun has a full-on system crash. He immediately snatches the potion and chugs it, desperate to avoid any more awkwardness. This healing is instantaneous, with blue light washing over him and restoring his strength completely. Grateful, he thanks her for the expensive item, but she just smiles and waves it off. Her tone suddenly gets serious, asking if they can finally talk alone now that it is over. Shun's a little confused, but she insists they cannot just leave things unresolved like this. Then she drops the real bombshell. She has something to tell him about his father. Cut to them inside, where she reveals the shocking theory. His father is behind the error monsters. Our boy absolutely loses it, slamming the table and telling her not to spout such nonsense. She understands his anger but explains this was a conclusion Levventin reached 5 years ago, and the reason she was so wary of him at first was because of that very connection. Shun points out that even those two weirdos hinted at his dad's involvement. And because of that, she warns him the official investigation into Pharaohs is about to get way more intense. Our boy just goes quiet, trying to process this world-shattering news. She knows it is a lot to take in but says there is nothing they can do about it now. Turns out his father, Pharaoh's Bright, was a legendary adventurer everyone knew and respected. Even among the S ranks, the guy was an absolute monster, taking on dragons like it was Tuesday. Eurysia admits that even her whole squad could not hold a candle to him back in the day, but everything apparently went sideways after his big fight with the evil lord. Feeling guilty, she apologizes for dropping this bomb on him but felt he deserved to know. Shun finally puts the pieces together, a grim understanding dawning on his face. This whole scouting mission, he realizes, was never just about his skills, it was about surveillance. With a pointed right, he puts her on the spot and her guilty face says it all. A tired sigh escapes her as she mutters he is just as perceptive as his dad, cannot hide a thing from him. She tries to soften the blow, telling him not to be down since they are all fighting for their country. This offer to not force his recruitment is made, which is real generous after all this. He then remembers the villains telling him to ask her why she attacked, and it all clicks into place. But then Shun's whole demeanor shifts and he declares he is joining Levventin, no questions asked. Eurysia is completely blindsided by this sudden 180 talk about whiplash. His logic is simple: if they are hunting his father, then their goals are perfectly aligned. Because his whole reason for being an adventurer was to find his dad all along. Eurysia is just staring, completely speechless at his sudden declaration to join them. But their serious moment gets absolutely demolished by a girl bursting through the door. This new girl, Lise, is in tears, frantically asking if Shun is going somewhere without her. She latches onto him like a limpet, begging not to be abandoned, and she absolutely reeks of booze. Desperate, she turns to Eurysia, pleading to be taken along on this new adventure. Eurysia, ever the professional, just says sure as long as she can pass the recruitment test. Lisa's mood does a complete 180, confidently winking that her power will get her through no problem. Shun is just wondering where all this confidence is coming from while Eurysia enjoys the show. And Eurysia just sighs, lamenting that she thought Lise was normal for a second, guess not. Lise is just radiating pure unfiltered main character's #1 fan energy. Eurysia finally gives in, telling them they will leave tomorrow, but Lise wants to go now. Shun points out they cannot exactly drag a drunk person on a mission, which just makes her cry harder. She is having a full-on emotional breakdown, insisting she does not care what anyone thinks, because it is Shun's very nature that makes her want to follow him to the ends of the earth. Eurysia watches this whole confession unfold, as Lise admits she is in love with him. And Lisa's big promise is to make all of Shun's dreams of happiness come true, no pressure. Our boy is just a blushing, stammering mess, completely unprepared for this level of intensity. Meanwhile, Eurysia is just sitting back, sipping her metaphorical tea and loving every second of this chaos. She even comments on how nice it is for him to have such a cute supporter on his side. Then, cutting through the rom-com moment, she asks if his resolve to join is still solid. With his resolve hardened, Shun agrees to join Levventin to finally uncover his father's secrets. Eurysia gives him a sly, knowing smile, saying she completely understands his motives. She adds that they'd much rather have him as an ally than an enemy, sealing their new partnership. Our boy looks off with grim determination, silently vowing that he is on his way, father. He is fully committed to catching up to the legendary shadow his dad cast over his life. And with that, they arrive in the city of Windsor, home to the Levventin headquarters. The streets are absolutely swarming with people, a chaotic mix of adventurers and locals. It is a full-on festival atmosphere with vendors and crowds filling every corner. Lise is totally starstruck by the scene while Shun just looks overwhelmed by it all. Turns out Levventin's recruitment test is a public event, making it a huge local attraction. Shun's already getting stage fright from the sheer number of people, but Eurysia finds it hilarious. This test itself is a series of one-on-one duels with examiners, which explains the spectator sport vibe. And our boy's face just screams, "You have got to be kidding me." He is not a fan of audiences. Eurysia tries to reassure him, saying the first examiner is only a rank, so he will be fine after fighting *her*. This just makes Shun realize in horror that the other examiners are not *S-rank monsters like she is. She is not at all amused by the monster comment while Shun just sweats, thinking she is nuts. Quickly changing the subject, Eurysia points them toward the main headquarters building. Both Shun and Lise follow her gaze, looking up at their destination, and they are met with the sight of a massive, ridiculously impressive fortress. This is the big leagues. Stepping inside, they are immediately greeted by a pair of startled receptionists. This receptionists immediately start fangirling, welcoming back Eurysia big sister with way too much enthusiasm. They are already gushing about the rumors of her capturing an enemy executive, making her super flustered. Shun is just standing there completely baffled, asking who these people are. And the fan club's mood flips on a dime, accusing him of being a bad bug trying to get close to their idol. Eurysia has to step in, clarifying that Shun actually helped and is here for the recruitment test. One of them scoffs, calling him an unremarkable kid who probably just stole Eurysia's credit. Lise immediately goes into attack mode, yelling at them for being so rude to Shun. Our boy just waves it off, saying he is used to this kind of welcome, which is just depressing. But the receptionists are not done, warning him not to expect a free pass just because he knows Eurysia. Eurysia is so done with this, face-palming as she tells them to knock it off. Then she gives them a look that could kill, silently threatening them if they say one more word. These two are instantly terrified, stammering and sweating under her intense glare. Yeah, they get it now. With a sweet smile, Eurysia reminds them Lise is also taking the test, putting them back in their place. Suddenly all smiles and professionalism, the receptionist offer to guide them to the next area. They are led toward a massive, glowing doorway heading deeper into the Levventin headquarters. A new receptionist with purple hair greets them, saying she has been expecting the challengers. She explains Eurisia already gave her the rundown so they can ask her anything they need. Then she turns to Lise first, handing her a booklet with instructions for the test. As Lise takes the info, the focus shifts to Shun, who has just been standing there this whole time. And he is left completely confused, wondering if he is just supposed to be invisible or something. Shun takes the booklet, but a sudden, strange feeling tells him something is very wrong, because the purple-haired receptionist is now sporting a full-on villainous grin. Our boy's eyes widen in shock as he finally realizes the danger they are in. He screams a warning to Lise that this is a trap, but it is already way too late. This receptionist has Lise in a chokehold with a blade pressed to her throat. Furious, Shun demands to know what the hell she thinks she is doing. She just casually tells him to drop his sword first, standard hostage negotiation 101. This imposter then addresses him by his full name, clearly knowing exactly who he is. Shun asks who she is since she is definitely not on the Levventin payroll. With a smug grin, she mocks him for not being cautious enough. Turns out she is a shapeshifter who can perfectly mimic anyone, right down to their fingerprints. And she brags that impersonating a staff member to get inside was child's play. This pieces click for Shun, who asks if she is a companion of Carla from the rooftop fight. She just smirks, saying this saves time since she already heard her friends were captured. Now she is demanding to know where her allies are, pressing the knife against Lisa's neck. Our boy tries to bluff, asking what she will do if he does not know anything. This just makes her laugh, asking if he really thinks he has any other options here. This blade digs in a little deeper, a silent reminder for him to cooperate quietly, but Lise, bless her heart, yells for Shun not to listen to this psycho. Shun is just gritting his teeth, completely cornered with no good way out of this. With his hand on his sword, Shun agrees to her terms, playing along for the moment. This imposter smirks, demanding he drop his weapon to save his friend's life. But our boy just stands there, a tense silence hanging in the air as he calculates his next move. Because that look in his eyes says he is definitely not surrendering without a fight, and even Lise, caught in a chokehold, seems to sense what is about to happen. Suddenly, a wild surge of dark energy explodes around them, catching the villain completely off guard. It takes Lise a second to realize this strange power is not hers at all, understanding in a flash that Shun is somehow channeling his own power through her body. This energy flares violently, making the shapeshifter scream as she struggles to maintain her grip. Her smug confidence is completely gone, replaced by pure panic at this unexpected turn, and with one final pulse, the blast sends the imposter flying away from Lise. She crashes hard against the wall, absolutely stunned by the raw power he just displayed. Our boy just stands there, casually remarking that his insane gamble went well. What a show-off. He apparently used a technique to project his attack onto her, a move that could have easily backfired. This shapeshifter is seething, realizing he played her like a fiddle from the moment she took the hostage. With no time to waste, Shun powers up and lunges forward, ready to finish this fight. He unleashes a devastating slash of pure energy that tears through the corridor. This attack lands dead on, sending the villain reeling back in a cloud of smoke and debris. Though she is still standing, she is now on high alert, wondering if he is the only threat here. And Shun immediately shouts a warning to the entire building, letting everyone know an intruder is inside. His warning echoes through the hall, letting everyone know one of Carla's allies has infiltrated the building. But as the smoke clears, the purple-haired receptionist emerges with a very smug, very unkidnapped smile. She just laughs, calling his performance perfect, which is probably the last thing he wanted to hear. And then she drops the bombshell that both Shun and Lise have just passed the preliminary test. From above the wreckage, she looks down on them, completely in control of the situation. Our heroes are just standing there, their brains short-circuiting from this absolutely wild turn of events. She confirms that yes, the entire life-or-death hostage situation was just part of Levventin's HR process. Then she has the audacity to apologize for the surprise, striking a pose like it was all a fun game. Shun is just trying to restart his heart, asking if this whole traumatic ordeal was specifically for him. Of course it was, she says, since they cannot just welcome a potential informant with open arms. This whole thing was a loyalty check to see if he'd betray them and how he'd handle a crisis. It finally clicks for both of them. This was not an attack, it was the world's most stressful job interview. He grudgingly admits he now understands why Levventin is so elite, while she just tells him not to sulk. This examiner then turns to Lise, complimenting her for being quick-witted during the fake-out. Lise just winks and flashes a peace sign, saying she is used to it, the perks of following Shun apparently. But Shun remembers this was only the asterisk preliminary round, which means the real test is still coming. With a grin, she confirms that the challenges ahead will not be nearly as forgiving. And just like that, the scene shifts to a massive, sun-drenched coliseum, the main stage. A brilliant flash of light signals the start of the next phase of their recruitment trial, where it looks like some poor guy is getting absolutely pummeled in front of a massive, cheering crowd. From their balcony, Lise is absolutely buzzing with excitement for the Coliseum show. Shun's still sweating bullets, realizing he has to fight in a rancor in front of this massive crowd. Down below, an announcer hypes up the next challenger, a rookie recommended by Eurisia herself. And of course, he calls out Shun's full name, who looks like he is walking to his own execution. He gives Lise a grim look before heading out, getting a final "do your best" from her. Meanwhile, another challenger, a blonde kid, steps into the arena looking equally terrified. Yeah, this guy is definitely feeling the pressure of the big stage. He steels himself, knowing he has to get through this trial one way or another. This announcer then introduces the examiner as Shun finally takes his place in the arena. And his opponent is a calm-looking swordsman in a white coat who seems pretty chill for an examiner. But a sudden sound from above catches Shun completely off guard. This entire crowd looks up in shock as something comes screaming down from the sky. A massive pillar of fire suddenly erupts in the middle of the arena. This poor blonde adventurer is caught in the blast, barely dodging the chaos. Even the examiner is stunned, looking up to see who just crashed his test. And a cocky redhead appears, casually saying he just barely made it in time. What an entrance. This examiner is furious, asking why he is here when he was supposed to run this test. This new guy just grins, saying he heard rumors about an interesting applicant and flew from the Kakara desert. This crowd absolutely loses it, realizing he just made a 2-week trip in no time flat. He then turns his attention to our boy, confirming his name is Shun Bright, who can only stammer out a yes. This redhead just hijacks the exam, offering a 2-on-1 fight for a pass. Shun's brain just blue screens, trying to process this sudden difficulty spike. Ask then adds the fine print with a little heart emoji, refuse and you fail. Our boy is understandably losing his mind since this is the definition of unreasonable. From the stands, even Eurisia looks concerned as the crowd eats up the drama. This original examiner tries to talk some sense into Ast, reminding him he is an S rank. He insists this is way too much for a rookie, even one recommended by Eurisia. But Ast just brushes him off, putting Shun on the spot to make the call himself. After a beat, Shun clenches his jaw and tells them to come at him together. His purple aura flares to life as he decides this is the perfect chance to test his limits. Ast is loving the spirit while the other examiner is still having a panic attack. So the rules are simple: faint, surrender, or get knocked out of the circle to lose. This poor white coat guy tries to warn Shun that he has no idea who he is dealing with, but Ast cuts him off, telling him to butt out since the challenger already agreed. With a seriously intimidating glare, Ast warns him not to say another word, and the guy immediately shuts up, sweating bullets under the pressure. Ast then unleashes a storm of fiery crosses, filling the entire arena with his power, which sends the audience scrambling in absolute terror at the display. But Shun seems to recognize the attack, remembering hearing about something like this. It is the mark of someone with multiple skills, a 1 in 10,000 miracle. Turns out this is Ast Nesria, the master of infinite magic who can use all 4 elements. He smirks, revealing he can sense a connection between Shun and someone named Pharaohs. Shun is completely lost, while Ast just looks forward to seeing what he is capable of. This S-ranker then challenges Shun to show him what his son can do, mixing all 4 elements. Our boy is freaking out, realizing this guy is casually combining 4 different attributes right from the start. With a battle cry, Ast unleashes his multi-elemental attack directly at Shun, but Shun counters, activating his own unique skill, the ominous-sounding black flame magic. Their powers clash in a massive, screen-shaking explosion of pure energy. This audience is getting absolutely rocked by the aftershock, which is probably not in the ticket price. Even the announcer is struggling to stay on his feet, barely holding onto his mic. Through the chaos, Shun somehow manages to block the attack, locking swords with the S-ranker. Ast is genuinely impressed, asking what kind of magic could just cancel out his own. Shun plays it cool with a classic who knows, keeping his secrets close to his chest. This just makes Ast laugh, saying Shun's father was the exact same way, unbeatable and mysterious. This fight resumes with another explosive parry, neither side giving an inch. From the side, the original examiner realizes Shun must know something about his dad. Ast confirms it, noting that Shun is also chasing after old man Pharaohs. With a sudden shift in tone, Ast decides to make a little wager. He makes an offer Shun cannot refuse. If he wins, he gets some information about his father Pharaohs, turning this exam into a personal quest. Ast just smirks, clearly enjoying Shun's confusion over the sudden personal stakes. That is all the motivation Shun needs, launching himself forward with a furious burst of speed. He closes the gap in a flash, catching the S-ranker completely off guard with his lunge. For the first time, Ast looks genuinely surprised, barely processing how fast the kid is. Their blades meet in a massive explosion, Shun pouring all his frustration into the strike. He screams at Ast to tell him everything he knows about his father right now, but Ast is just eating this up, complimenting Shun's incredible speed mid-clash. He decides to offer a little service as a reward for that impressive fighting spirit, and then he drops the bomb. Pharaohs, Shun's dad, is the founder of Levventin. Our boy's brain just completely short-circuits at the news. His dad did what? As their fight rages on, Shun is now battling with this world-shattering revelation. He is absolutely seething, realizing his father kept this massive secret from him his whole life. Ast just laughs it off, saying the free info is over and he will have to win to hear more. This original examiner, bless his heart, tries to jump in, reminding Ast it is a 2-on-1 test. Ast gives him a look that could curdle milk, a silent "do not you dare." This poor guy tries to argue it would be more interesting, digging his own grave. With a swift chop to the neck, Ast decides he wants to fight Shun one-on-one after all, and down goes the examiner, knocked out cold on the arena floor. So much for being a proctor. Shun just watches, completely baffled by the absolute chaos unfolding in his job interview. Ast calmly announces the rules have changed again, declaring it is now a duel. Ast lays out the new, much simpler rules, just beat him one-on-one to pass. He then warns Shun not to get his hopes up because now he is really not holding back. With a manic grin, Ast's entire body erupts in flames, promising to fight for real. Shun just stares back, his expression grim as he braces for the S-ranker's full power. This guy is absolutely reveling in the fight, taunting Shun to bring everything he has got. From the sidelines, the announcer is just frozen, watching the sheer power on display. In response, Shun plants his foot and prepares to make his move, launching himself across the arena with a furious battle cry, sword at the ready. Their blades meet in a high-speed exchange, purple energy clashing against orange. Ast is just laughing his head off, impressed by the swordsmanship of the old man's son. But then he calls out Shun's biggest weakness: his magic skills are apparently non-existent. To prove his point, he grabs Shun's arm and zaps him with a burst of lightning magic. Our boy is completely stunned, gritting his teeth through the sudden electric shock. Ast lectures him mid-fight, explaining that without proper footwork his sword is useless, before delivering a brutal kick that sends Shun flying across the arena floor. Shun stumbles backward, completely thrown off balance from the combined assault. He goes tumbling right toward the edge of the ring, about to be knocked out of the test. Ast immediately follows up, leaping through the air to finish the job, but Shun is paralyzed, realizing his legs are numb and he cannot even stand up. From the ground, his hand glows as he prepares to unleash his own magic. Ast smirks, thinking he has identified Shun's power as the rare black flame magic, but he totally misses that Shun is actually casting a warp spell from the ground. With a confident grin, Ast activates his own wind magic to finish the job, and Shun is suddenly caught in a swirling vortex, completely blindsided by the attack. This combined magic batters him, sending him reeling across the arena floor. Ast then gives a condescending lecture on how he used wind to redirect the flames. It is basic, you know. Our boy can only grit his teeth, trapped in a magical blender and taking a serious beating. From the booth, the announcer basically calls the match, declaring Shun has no way to counter. Ast lands right on the edge of the ring, looming over Shun, who is about to be knocked out. He lets out a disappointed sigh, wishing the fight had been a little more entertaining. What a jerk. Looking down at the struggling rookie, he taunts him, asking if this is really all he has got. He then leaps in for the finishing blow, deciding Shun is not ready for Levventin just yet. But Shun's eyes flare with a terrifying red glow, his expression anything but defeated. For the second time today, Ast's jaw hits the floor as he sees the impossible happen, because Shun is now asterisk behind him, unleashing a massive upward slash of pure purple energy. Ast can only stare as the attack, the secret sword of origin, comes right for him. This massive pillar of power called Kagutsuchi completely engulfs the S-ranker. Looking down in disbelief, Ast is sweating, realizing he massively underestimated this kid. He is forced to throw down a huge lightning spell just to defend himself from the onslaught. And from below, Shun names his own technique, Jiraku, meeting the lightning head-on. Ast is just smirking, thinking Shun is getting completely swallowed by the flames. But Shun's secret sword technique absolutely rips through the air, heading straight for the S-ranker. This attack connects perfectly, sending Ast flying backward with a pained grunt. From the booth, the announcer's brain just short-circuits, unable to process this insane reversal. Meanwhile, Eurisia is absolutely losing her mind in the stands, cheering on her boy. Shun just stands there looking like a total boss, having completely turned the tables on the S-ranker. Across the arena, Ast is on one knee, clutching his arm and definitely feeling that hit. Instead of getting angry, the guy just starts laughing, finding the whole thing unbelievable. He figures out Shun actually absorbed his flames to power up his own attack. What a flex. Getting to his feet, Ast admits Shun actually leveled up in the middle of their fight. Our boy just stays ready, sword in hand, not letting his guard down for a second. Ast notes that just maintaining that aura should be draining Shun's stamina like crazy. But Shun's death glare says he has absolutely no intention of backing down now. This S-ranker is genuinely happy, even saying Shun might be able to outwit his own father. That comment completely stops Shun in his tracks, demanding to know what he means, and then Ast just sheathes his sword and casually declares that he gives up. It is his loss. This sudden surrender sends the announcer and the newly revived examiner into a state of shock. Shun is just as lost, his face a perfect picture of wait, what just happened. In the middle of the silent arena, the fight just ends with no final blow. Ast just repeats it with a calm smile, confirming his surrender and Shun's victory. Shun is just frozen in place, his brain completely failing to compute the word surrender. Up in the booth, the announcer and the examiner look like they have seen a ghost, or maybe their paychecks disappear. This announcer's voice booms across the silent arena, calling this a massive, unbelievable upset. And with that, Shun Bright is officially declared the winner, though he still looks like he lost a bet. Meanwhile, Eurisia is absolutely losing it in the stands, celebrating like he just won the world championship. Even the mysterious blonde lady in the crowd is impressed, admitting he had her on the edge of her seat. Shun finally finds his voice, demanding to know why Ast quit when he was clearly still holding back. Ast just gives him a lazy smile, casually admitting that yeah, he totally was. Then he drops the casual bombshell that if he'd gone all out, this entire city block would be a crater. Our boy just sweats bullets, realizing the S-ranker was basically playing with his food the whole time. Ast calls the whole beat an S-ranker test ridiculous anyway, claiming he is a reasonable guy. Sure you are, buddy. But he confirms the victory is legit and Shun's recruitment is officially a go. He even offers a handshake, congratulating Shun on becoming a member of Levventin. That smug look on his face, however, says this is far from over. Leaning in close, he invites Shun to his private room for a little chat after this. He promises to finally deliver on his wager and tell Shun all about his father. A little later, Shun enters a private office where Ast is waiting for him, looking way too relaxed. Wasting no time, Shun immediately asks for the information he was promised. He wants to know everything Ast knows about his dad, Pharaoh's right now, and Ast begins his story, starting with a memory from 10 years ago involving the old man. Ast starts with the absolute bombshell. Pharaoh's assassinated this country's crown prince. We then flash back 12 years to a young, red-haired adventurer fighting a manticore. This guy is clearly in over his head, admitting the monster is way too strong for him. He is already injured and clutching his arm, but his expression is pure grit. A memory of his little sister, Arya, flashes through his mind, giving him a reason to fight on. Just then, the monster charges up a massive energy blast from its mouth, and our red-haired hero just smirks, accepting he probably will not be coming home from this one. But out of nowhere, a mysterious swordsman appears and slices right through the beast's attack. This adventurer can only stare in total shock as his life is unexpectedly saved, and this mysterious savior is none other than a younger pharaoh asking if he is alright. He then casually tosses the kid a glowing potion to patch himself up. This adventurer is floored, recognizing it as an incredibly rare and expensive recovery potion. Pharaohs explains this place is an enemy research facility, which is why the monster was so tough. While the kid tries to process this, Pharaohs calmly strikes a match and proceeds to set the chimera's corpse on fire, much to the adventurer's horror. This guy absolutely panics, screaming that he needed the head as proof for the mission priorities. Man, Pharaohs just calmly explains this chimera is an error monster, something that should not exist. Its main ability is regeneration, so it has to be completely destroyed or it'll just come back. This news hits the adventurer like a truck. He was fighting an immortal monster this whole time. Pharaohs clarifies it is an entity from another world that would destroy nations if left unchecked. Pharaohs shows off his power, unleashing a storm of crisscrossing purple energy slashes. With intense focus, he channels the strange, otherworldly magic through his very being. This attack culminates in a massive blast of light, completely overwhelming the area. And a younger Ast just watches, his jaw on the floor, unable to process what he just saw. He is completely blown away by the man's incredible swordsmanship and totally unique magic. Desperate, the red-haired adventurer immediately begs Pharaohs to teach him everything he knows. But Pharaohs just tells him to give up, explaining his power is not from this dimension, so tough luck, kid. In the present, Ast reveals that after that day he gathered adventurers and created Levventin. This organization's whole purpose was to protect the world from these interdimensional threats. Hearing this, Shun smiles, remarking that a goal like that is so typically his father. Ast confirms it, saying his father's dreams were so grand that everyone just ridiculed him for it. Despite that, people were drawn to the guy, who even became chummy with the king himself. A fond memory crosses Shun's face, recalling his father as a man everyone looked up to. But that just brings back the big question: why would a hero like that assassinate the crown prince? Ast confesses he does not know the details. The state just made the announcement without any explanation. All they ever found was a letter at headquarters that simply said, "I am going, and that is it." Standing up, Ast declares that is the full extent of his knowledge on the incident. Our boy just looks down, realizing it is the same pattern as when his father left him. He remembers his dad leaving, shouldering some massive burden all by himself without explaining a thing. Remembering his mother's grief, Shun tells Ast that is exactly why he cannot believe his dad is an enemy. Shun's resolve hardens, his mind set on uncovering the full truth about his father. Seeing this, Ast proposes they hunt down Pharaohs together as fellow members of Levventin. Our boy agrees without hesitation, and just like that, a new, slightly dysfunctional partnership is born. Then Ast casually pivots, asking Shun what his deal is with that least girl he was with. Looking out at her fight, Shun just says she kind of forced her way into his party. He even admits he barely knows her, which gets a thoughtful look from the S-ranker. Ast mentions Lise is doing way better than expected since she used to struggle with basic monsters. This is all news to Shun, who is now completely lost about what is happening with his own teammate. Meanwhile, in a dark, dripping dungeon somewhere, a faint, unsettling laugh echoes. A green-haired guy is chained to a wall, getting taunted by guards about being tortured without food or sleep. But the prisoner just glares, spitting that his captors are the real ugliness in this country. One of the guards does not appreciate the feedback and immediately smacks him down for it. They call him a terrorist, but the guy just laughs in their faces, not exactly breaking his spirit, are they? With a menacing grin, he decides it is about time to make his move. Purple energy suddenly explodes from his body as he pledges his loyalty to Pharaohs. He grins through the blood, vowing to follow his master to the very end. And with that, a massive explosion rips through the prison cell, signaling a jailbreak. Back in the office, Ast is still watching the fight, commenting on the girl's surprising power. We see Lise holding her own, her sword glowing as she faces off against a tough opponent. Ast is blown away by her performance against an Aranker, while Shun just asks what the big deal is. Our boy is so out of the loop. Ast recalls that when they first met, Lise was so weak she could not even handle a basic blood wolf. So he casually suggests to a very confused Shun that his new party member might be a total deceiver. From his S-rank perspective, he pegs her abilities as a rank or higher. No way she'd struggle with trash mobs. And right on cue, Lise lands the final blow in her match, securing a clean victory. Ast just laughs, genuinely hyped that she pulled off the win while Shun is still buffering. His expression then shifts, realizing she only registered her first name, which is super suspicious. At that exact moment, a massive tremor shakes the entire building, putting both of them on high alert. Looking outside, they see a huge explosion tearing through a section of the city. Back inside, civilians are scrambling in a panic as the chaos spreads through the building. Both guys are just frozen for a second, trying to process the sudden attack. These flames are just raging outside, with smoke and destruction filling the sky. Ast immediately identifies the location as the underground prison, much to Shun's confusion. It is the place where they lock up powerful criminals like that Pharaoh's loyalist we just saw breaking out. This S-ranker confirms it is a supposedly impregnable fortress for the absolute worst offenders. While Shun is still trying to figure out what is happening, Ast is already powering up his wind magic. Wasting no time, he just leaps out the window, propelled by a vortex of wind. And of course, the guy is totally thrilled, calling this an interesting battle as he flies off. Our boy is just left standing there, his mind completely blown that Ast can actually fly. Realizing he cannot just stand by, Shun decides to follow, even if it means leaving Lise behind. And what do you know, our boy takes a leap of faith, using his own wind magic to chase after the S-ranker. Shun is desperately trying to keep up, worried he is about to get left in the dust. Then he gets a wild idea, channeling his attack magic straight into his feet for a boost. With a burst of purple energy, our boy suddenly rockets through the air after him. He figures if the principle works for punches, it should work for kicks, and apparently for propulsion. Applying this new technique, he basically turns himself into a human missile, which is pretty clever. Ast just looks back and laughs, totally amused that Shun is this resourceful. This S-ranker casually tells him to keep up while riding his wind currents like it is nothing. Shun is just floored that Ast still has this much energy left after their whole match. They finally land on a rooftop, overlooking the absolute chaos and destruction below. But their little sightseeing trip is cut short when they both sense something approaching. A whole swarm of dragons and winged beasts descends upon the city. Fantastic. Shun realizes these are all unreadable error monsters, while Ast is just thrilled at the new toys. Without a second thought, Ast unleashes a massive wind attack, tearing through the horde. He's just laughing his head off amidst the carnage. This dude's got some serious issues. We get a close-up on one of the shadowy monsters, oozing with that familiar purple energy. Our boy is just sweating bullets, realizing he is way out of his league here. Even Ast's expression gets a little serious, sensing something is definitely off. And what do you know, the monsters are regenerating from the purple magic, just like that chimera. Ast's reaction is to grin like a psycho, calling this new immortal enemy convenient. He squares up against a massive regenerating dragon, ready for more battle because of course he is. But just as Ast is having his fun, a new challenger appears to crash the party. A blonde swordswoman named Eurisha lands right in the middle of the fight, much to Ast's annoyance. She gives a smug little smile, clearly enjoying the citywide chaos way too much. Eurisha tells Ast to back off and let her play, but he is not about to let her rampage near headquarters, so she just powers up anyway, surrounded by a storm of golden energy and dark spikes. With a smirk, she declares their opponents are underestimating them, time to teach them a lesson. Shun is just watching from the sidelines, totally in awe of this new S-ranker's presence. His fanboy moment is cut short when a winged beast dives straight for him, and our boy unleashes a massive purple energy wave to slice it clean in half. Except the monster just splits into two, revealing its main gimmick is division. Great. Shun checks his stats and realizes he is almost out of juice, running on just 30 EP. Meanwhile, Ast unleashes a tidal wave of purple flames, a technique called Kagutsuchi. This S-ranker is just laughing, having enchanted the flames so they would not burn down the city. Our boy is floored by Ast's incredible control, even while casting such a destructive spell. But even with 2 S-rank level fighters, the sheer number of monsters is just too much. Then Shun gets a system notification. He has leveled up and unlocked a new skill, Time Acceleration. He is completely baffled since his whole deal is that he is supposed to be leveling asterisk down. This new skill literally interferes with spacetime, which sounds just a little bit dangerous. Desperate, he decides to activate the 4th error skill, channeling its power into his hands. And not a moment too soon, as the dragons are now terrorizing civilians on the streets below. With his new time skill, Shun zips between terrified civilians to get in front of the danger. He leaps into the air, sword raised high to intercept a dragon diving for a snack. His eyes glow with purple energy as he pours everything he has left into one final attack. This resulting slash is massive, slicing clean through the regenerating monster. Ast is absolutely losing his mind, telling Eurisha that Shun was hiding this much power all along. Our boy just grins, confirming he is ready to push through to the source of the invasion. Looking ahead, they see the monsters are pouring out from the explosion's ground zero. So Ast volunteers for crowd control, ordering Shun and Eurisha to go for the boss. Eurisha gives Shun a little pep talk, telling him this is his chance to find answers about his dad. Shun is a little stunned by the sudden trust, but he knows she is right. After a quick thank you, he and Ast take off, racing towards the heart of the chaos. They finally reach the source, a massive crater with a swirling purple portal spawning monsters. And of course there is a guy just chilling there, admiring his handiwork. It is the jailbreaker who Ast immediately pegs as the mastermind behind this whole disaster. This guy just sighs, turning around like they are a huge inconvenience to his city-destroying afternoon. Ast recognizes him as Pharaoh's former disciple, groaning that this job just got way more complicated. This villain asks if Ast is one of Carla's companions, which gets a very insulted hell no in response. Then he summons a massive firebird, bragging that he tortured some people for valuable information. Both Shun and Ast are just stunned, realizing this guy is on a whole other level of psycho, and the villain just smirks, totally pleased with the results of his interrogation. This villain, now named Van Gale, strikes a pose in the fire, calling himself a troublesome hobby. He is practically labeling himself an executive-class enemy, just to make sure everyone gets the memo. Ast is not impressed, saying he's got a ton of questions for this guy, and his idea of an interview is charging in with a glowing sword to restrain him immediately. Van Gale just scoffs at the very idea of being captured, calling Ast bold for even trying. This dude is just soaking in the dramatic firelight, oozing main boss energy. He decides he will play along, calling it entertainment until his master finally arrives. With a smirk, he demands the humans entertain him well. What a charming guy. Wasting absolutely no time, Ast leaps in for a massive downward slash, only for Van Gale to casually catch the S-Ranker's blade with his bare, glowing hand. Red energy flares as he completely neutralizes the attack, sending Ast flying backward. Our S-Ranker gets blown away by the force, barely managing to land on his feet. Van Gale gives some backhanded praise, saying for an S-Ranker, Ast is surprisingly not bad. Ast is clearly feeling the strain, panting from just that single effortless block. But then his battle maniac switch flips and he gets a crazed grin, asking if the villain is a mage. He is suddenly super hyped, challenging Van Gale to a one-on-one duel because of course he is. Shun is in the background having a panic attack, reminding Ast they are supposed to be a team. But Ast just says the villain's magic gave him the tingles, leaving Shun to wonder why he was even invited. Van Gale is actually intrigued, noting that most people cannot stay this calm against him, and Ast just eats up the praise, telling the bad guy to stop. He is making him blush. Van Gale just grins, telling Ast that a good fight makes him so very happy. Our S-Ranker just stares back, completely unimpressed by the villain's whole monologue. Then that familiar battle-crazed smile spreads across his face. He has found a new toy. Ast immediately lunges forward with a massive wind slash, cutting straight to the point. This villain just smirks, casually impressed that someone in this dimension can actually fight back. Our boy is practically vibrating with excitement, clearly loving this high-stakes challenge. So Van Gale decides to get a little serious, summoning a huge wave of red energy. He announces that for the first time in decades, he is actually going to try. What an honor. Ast just tightens his grip on his sword, totally ready for whatever this guy throws at him. Another attack comes flying in, but this time Van Gale counters with his own strange red magic. Ast gets blown back, wondering if this power is the same as that Carla person's. Van Gale is deeply offended by the comparison, calling Carla's ability pathetic. This villain then claims to be the wind itself, meaning normal attacks will not even hit him, and right on cue he unleashes a swarm of dark, claw-like projectiles straight at Ast. Our S-Ranker barely has time to react, realizing this is way more dangerous than he expected. Van Gale just laughs from below, complimenting how well Ast is dodging his death spikes. As Ast tries to master the wind, the villain prepares an even bigger attack from the ground. For a split second, Ast looks genuinely surprised, caught off guard by the villain's move. A massive wave of energy erupts from the crater, chasing him through the air. And Van Gale just scoffs that in front of a true master, Ast is nothing but a slow turtle. Shun is just screaming from the sidelines, completely horrified by what he is seeing. Meanwhile, Ast is struggling to keep his footing, clearly outmatched by this guy's raw power. He realizes this villain is way more than just some regular mage, this is something else entirely. Van Gale just smirks, confirming that he is not a mage at all. He is controlling some kind of calamitous wind, a power that does not even exist in their world. Our S-Ranker is just stunned, trying to process this whole power behind the world nonsense. And just like that, Ast is on his knees, completely overwhelmed by the villain's aura. Van Gale looks down on him with this smug, condescending grin, total boss-level arrogance. Ast is trying to hold his ground, but he is getting absolutely pinned by this pressure. Seeing his new buddy getting wrecked, Shun decides he cannot just stand by and watch. But it is too late. Van Gale unleashes a massive blast that sends Ast flying into the crater. Our S-Ranker crashes hard into the rubble, taking some serious damage from that one hit. This villain just looms over him, calling him a boring disappointment for going down so easily. With a final "see ya," he raises his sword to deliver the finishing blow. But Shun zips in at the last second, screaming that there is no way he will let that happen. He meets the villain's blade with his own, unleashing a massive wave of purple energy. Even with his all, Shun realizes he cannot block the attack head-on, so he switches tactics, activating his error skill to summon a torrent of black flame magic. This actually gets a reaction out of Van Gale, who recognizes the magic as Pharaoh's style. Shun's got his big power-up moment, but the villain just calls it a yawn-inducing weakness. Ouch. Van Gale just scoffs from across the crater, asking if Shun is done yet because he is getting bored. But our boy just grits his teeth, pouring everything he has left into his glowing purple sword. He leaps into the air to unleash his own version of Kagetsuchi, Ast's secret flame technique, and the villain just yawns, completely unimpressed by another one of Pharaoh's hand-me-down moves. Once again, he catches the blade with his bare hand, calling Shun's power completely inferior. A massive blast of energy sends Shun flying backwards, slamming him into the ground. Van Gale just sighs, saying he thought Shun had some backbone, but he is just another weakling. Our boy is just stunned by the incredible strength, realizing this guy is on a whole other level. This villain raises a hand, surrounded by red energy, and promises to end this instantly. His palm glows with that calamitous power, ready to deliver the final blow. But he pauses, mockingly asking if Shun really wants to keep this pointless fight going. Suddenly, a new power envelops Shun as he stands up, vowing to find his father no matter what. His eyes burn with resolve, declaring that the villain's strength does not even matter. For the first time, Van Gale looks genuinely annoyed as strange blue blocks fill the air. Then a mysterious voice echoes in Shun's mind, promising that he will not be allowed to die. Shun looks around, completely baffled by this new voice and the strange energy. He turns to see a transparent figure standing right behind him, a mirror image of himself. This voice explains this is Time Stop, a ridiculously overpowered upgrade to his time skill. Stunned, our boy looks up towards a brilliant light descending from the sky, and in his eyes we see the reflection of a familiar face as he realizes who has arrived. With time completely frozen, Shun stares up at the source of the golden magic. And descending from the heavens is the man from his memories, his father, Pharaohs. Pharaohs gives him a warm smile, commenting on how much stronger his son has gotten. Apparently, Shun's growth weakens some curse, letting Dad pop in for a quick visit. Our boy gets it immediately, realizing this divine intervention is on a very tight schedule. His dad just playfully pokes his forehead, joking that he does not like know-it-alls. Then he gets serious, telling Shun the key to victory lies within his own unlocked memories. A flash of the past shows Pharaohs with two women, hinting at a life Shun cannot recall. In this memory, his father looks determined, just glad that his family is safe. This vision leaves Shun completely rattled, trying to process what he just saw. His father's voice cuts through, instructing him to keep weakening the curse to regain his old self. Meanwhile, Van Gale is still frozen mid-swing, completely oblivious to the family reunion. But he starts to feel something is off, a strange sensation breaking through the stopped time. He realizes someone is manipulating time, spotting a mysterious silhouette behind him. For the first time, this smug villain looks genuinely shocked by what he is seeing, because standing there is a white-haired version of Shun looking way more powerful. This new version of Shun just stares at his own hand, as if seeing it for the first time. He has always wondered about this sudden transformation that he cannot control, and now it clicks, this is not just a power-up, it is the form of his past life. With that revelation, a torrent of dark purple energy erupts around him, ready for round 2. Van Gale is completely floored, demanding to know what this new power is. With a cold stare, Shun reveals he finally understands what his fragmented memories were. This villain can barely process what is happening, just staring in utter shock. In a flash of purple light, our boy is already on him, moving at impossible speeds. He explains that his past life was a sword saint, a master of the blade, and now he is unleashing that very same power in a devastating flurry of strikes. For the first time, Van Gale's defenses shatter and he actually takes a clean hit. Shun clarifies that all those confusing flashbacks were from his time as this legendary swordsman. Even the villain has to admit it is impressive that Shun actually managed to hurt him. He quickly figures out Shun is using time acceleration to slice through spacetime itself, a pretty sharp analysis. Our boy just smirks back, wondering how long that smug attitude is going to last. Getting serious, Van Gale unleashes his calamitous wind with a whole new level of intensity. A storm of red energy whips around Shun, who braces for the counterattack. His eyes burn with focus, ready to meet the villain's power head-on. But the onslaught is too much as multiple blasts of energy pierce right through him. Van Gale just grins maniacally, clearly loving that he has finally found a real challenge. Despite the brutal hits, Shun is somehow still on his feet, refusing to go down. He admits to himself that this sword saint power is a massive strain on his current body. Sensing weakness, the villain looms over him for another devastating attack. Their blades meet in a massive clash, sending sparks flying everywhere. Shun is barely holding on, gritting his teeth as he pushes back against Van Gale's blade. This villain looks genuinely surprised, realizing our boy is about to attempt a one-shot finisher. With a final roar, Shun pours every last drop of his sword saint power into his sword. He unleashes his secret sword form, a massive arc of pure purple destruction. This spacetime severance move rips through the air, aimed right at the villain's smug face, and it actually connects, slicing Van Gale up a bit, who seems to be enjoying it, the freak. Even Shun is laughing through the pain, proud that he finally managed to land a solid hit. Van Gale just remarks it has been ages since he has bled, adding that he has been restraining himself this whole time. With a terrifying grin, he decides the kid gloves are officially coming off. A massive pillar of dark energy erupts around him, signaling a whole new level of trouble. Shun can only stare in shock, realizing he just poked a much bigger bear. Van Gale then reveals this fight was just a side quest. His real goal was to destroy the city all along. Suddenly, a massive wave of fire erupts from the ground, completely catching Shun off guard. A giant flaming phoenix descends from the sky, raining down absolute chaos. This villain just smirks, saying this was the plan from the start, the real party is just beginning. Our boy is horrified, realizing Van Gale was summoning this apocalypse bird while fighting him. Flaming meteors start crashing down, threatening to wipe out the entire city and everyone in it. Van Gale casually confirms that yes, this whole place is about to become a sea of fire. He stands there like a god, declaring the city's people an eyesore for his next big plan. With a final threat, he promises Shun and his friend will be turned to ash right along with everyone else. This Sword Saint power-up is already backfiring, leaving Shun completely stunned and in pain. He is doubled over, realizing the backlash from this new form is absolutely brutal. With both him and Ast running on fumes, Shun still swears he will not let the city be destroyed. But just as Van Gale's Apocalypse Bird attacks, a blast of blue energy intercepts it. More of these mystery projectiles start shooting down the flaming meteors, much to Shun's surprise. Suddenly, the sky is full of these weird blue crystals, and our boys have no idea what is happening. And then the cavalry arrives, a blonde woman leading a whole squad of mages. Shun actually knows her, calling out to Lee-san as she apologizes for being late. She explains it took a while to gather everyone who was at the venue, which just confuses Shun more. Turns out everyone means a whole damn army, complete with dragons and mages ready for war. Lise and her crew stand united, looking like they are about to drop the world's most epic diss track. Calmly, she addresses Van Gale, introducing herself like this is a formal business meeting, not a city-ending crisis. Then comes the big reveal. Her name is Rezius, and she is the first princess of the country. This princess formally greets the floating supervillain who is trying to burn her kingdom down. Standing there all regal, she makes it official that royalty has entered the chat. Our boy Shun is just completely floored by this news. The girl he knows is a princess. Van Gale, of course, just smirks because a princess is just another Tuesday for him. He notes that he has heard the royal family has special skills, putting two and two together. Rezius confirms it, explaining her unique skill is a rapid application poison that leads to death. Then she shows off her poison-coated dagger, promising to corrupt his body and end him, a princess with a dark side. Rezius gives a cold stare, ready to get acquainted with her poison-laced dagger. Van Gale just starts laughing, clearly finding this royal death threat absolutely hilarious. From his perch in the sky, he declares that this is finally getting entertaining again. Down below, Shun is still trying to process that his friend Lise is actual royalty. She turns to him with a gentle smile, a weirdly calm moment in all this chaos. Then she apologizes for having to keep her real identity a secret until now. And here is the bombshell. She reveals Shun's dad, Pharaohs, is the one who killed her younger brother. Our boy is just floored as she admits she only got close to him to find clues. This horrible truth clicks for Shun. The murdered crown prince was asterisk her family, but she tells him he was nothing like she expected, calling him a truly wonderful person. She saw his true character when he risked his life to protect her without a second thought. So she decided to reveal everything, even if it meant he would end up hating her. Now with her dagger raised, she says it is her turn to be the one to help him. A massive aura of toxic green energy erupts around her as she unleashes her power. Shun just stares, completely stunned by this sudden and dangerous display. With a determined glare, Rezius tells him to leave this fight to her this time. Van Gale, of course, just smirks back, daring her to even try to stop him. But then the green poison starts to creep over his body and his expression shifts. He looks down at his own hand in shock as the poison spreads across his skin. Rezius states coldly that no one can escape the royal family's deadly poison. Shun just watches, realizing she is spreading a poisonous mist to take this guy down. Even Van Gale admits the poison is working, noting his body is still human after all. He is clearly irritated, calling her resolve annoying as the green gunk spreads on his face. And now Van Gale starts monologuing, calling her out for deceiving everyone just to hunt down Pharaohs. Then he turns the question on Shun, basically asking how it feels to be used. This villain drops the bomb that she was originally after asterisk his asterisk head, a real friendship ender. Rezius just grits her teeth, clearly not wanting this dirty laundry aired mid-apocalypse. A flashback reveals her childhood with her brother Luca, her only true friend in the palace. They would sneak out of the castle together, having secret little adventures away from royalty. Those were irreplaceable moments, escaping the suffocating palace life for a bit of freedom. It was a rare moment of genuine happiness for her, a memory she clearly cherished. But that all came crashing down with her brother's murder, a truth she could not accept. In another memory, she confronts her father, demanding to know why he is protecting Pharaohs. Her dad just gives her the classic, "It is for the greater good" speech, real helpful pops. He then issues a royal command forbidding her from ever laying a hand on Shun's dad. Absolutely furious, she clenches her fist, calling her own father a coward for his inaction. And with that, she decides she is done playing by the rules and storms out. So she threw herself into brutal sword training and mastered her deadly poison skill. Eventually, she escaped the castle on her own to find the truth behind the incident, which is how her path ultimately led her right to Pharaoh's son, our boy Shun. This flashback continues, showing how Rezius first saw Shun's group arguing in a dungeon. Shun was desperately trying to talk sense into his partner, worried about other adventurers getting hurt. His friend just laughed it off, while Rezius was secretly spying on them from the shadows. She'd been wondering what Pharaoh's son was like, surprised to find he seemed like a decent guy. It was even weirder that he'd been saddled with a garbage skill like level down. This whole situation just was not adding up, completely messing with her revenge plans. But her covert op was interrupted when a giant purple wolf monster ambushed her. It sends her flying back, barely managing to block the surprise attack with her sword. She is furious with herself for making such a rookie mistake against a blood wolf. Now she is surrounded by the pack, realizing her only option is to try and escape. A look of pure panic crosses her face as she understands just how screwed she is. But out of nowhere, Shun leaps in front of her, ready to take on the entire pack. He just tells her to get away, insisting he will handle the monsters himself. Regius is completely stunned, watching the guy she was targeting protect her without hesitation. Her mind is reeling, he should not even be able to fight with that debuff skill active. She realizes that because she judged him based on his dad's reputation, she put his life in danger. Looking down in shame, she feels absolutely pathetic for her prejudice. Back in the present, she admits she saw his true, heroic nature that day. And with her poison dagger ready, she declares she will not let someone so good die no matter what. Shun can only stare, completely speechless at this incredibly intense declaration of loyalty. Regius finally admits it, telling Shun she deceived him this entire time. Now she declares this is where they part ways, as she intends to repay her debt by soloing the villain. Our boy can only stare, completely stunned by this sudden declaration. Vangale, on the other hand, just laughs it off, poison on his face and not a care in the world. A menacing red aura erupts around him as he basically says, "I do not get it, but bring it on." He then taunts her, asking if she truly understands the massive power gap she is challenging. She glares back, insisting she will break through no matter what, even against an S-rank level threat. And then he delivers the lowest blow, promising to send her to the same place as her dead brother, Luca. But before he can make a move, Shun lets out a furious roar. He suddenly leaps forward, putting himself directly between the princess and the villain. With a flash of purple energy, he intercepts Vangale, who looks genuinely surprised by the move. Regius is completely shocked, asking why he'd jump in to protect her after her confession. Gritting his teeth, Shun just says the reason is simple. He stands his ground, declaring that he is fighting because she is here. She is still reeling, unable to understand his loyalty after she used him. With a small, determined smile, Shun tells her the reason is simple and clear. Her eyes widen as his words finally sink in. He is protecting her just because it is her. Overwhelmed, she asks if he can possibly forgive someone like her for what she did. He just looks away, saying there is nothing to forgive or not forgive, because he understands the pain of losing family all too well. Shun apologizes, admitting he was so obsessed with finding his dad he never saw her suffering. This horrible truth is finally sinking in. His father killed the crown prince, her actual brother, and if his dad is still working with psychos like Vangale to commit more unforgivable sins, then Shun, as his son, declares he will be the one to stop him with everything he has got. He formally asks Regius to lend him her strength to fight beside him as a real comrade. With a radiant, tearful smile, she accepts, a perfect shoujo moment in the middle of an apocalypse. Vangale, however, is completely done with this heartfelt bonding, calling their little scene a farce, because his giant phoenix summoning is complete and it is time to get back to the explosions. This fiery bird immediately unleashes a massive death laser straight down from the heavens. Both Shun and Regius look up, knowing that attack has their names written all over it. But out of nowhere, another hero leaps in to intercept the blast. The cavalry's cavalry has arrived. It is a woman Shun recognizes as Iriga-san, and she just tanked a phoenix beam, no big deal. She apologizes for being late, explaining she was held up exterminating other monsters in the area. With a determined glare, she vows that she will not let these villains run wild any longer. Vangale just smirks, recognizing her as the famous sword phantom Iriga. She gives him some props, noting he must be skilled to have beaten Ast so badly. Ast immediately starts fuming that he did not lose, while she just waves him off, brutal. A purple aura erupts around Iriga as she promises to make Vangale pay for all his mischief. She quickly divides the labor, telling the others to handle the fire bird while she takes the main boss. With a knowing smile, she tells Shun that he is the one who inspired everyone to fight back. Iriga's internal monologue notes that for most S-rankers, this is the point where you just give up. But she saw that Shun, against all odds, absolutely refused to back down from the fight. His insane courage has clearly inspired all the other adventurers on the scene to rally behind him. She then turns to Ast, giving him a little "you still in this" nudge, and he is all fired up. Up above, Vangale is genuinely surprised that Shun and Regius are even still standing after all that. Shun grits his teeth, bruised but not broken, vowing to keep pushing forward no matter what. And just then, a massive surge of purple energy explodes around him, a sudden power-up. He stares at his own hand, totally confused about where this new strength is coming from. Regius explains her philosophy. The dose makes the poison, and sometimes poison can be medicine. Turns out, she has a special concoction that can temporarily supercharge a person's abilities. With a smirk, she asks him how the power boost feels, the green poison still on her skin. Our boy is just blown away, telling her she is absolutely incredible for this last-minute buff. Now filled with new power, he clenches his fist, ready to get back in the fight. This whole squad, Iriga, Ast, Shun, and Regius, are now officially ready for round 2. Iriga rallies the troops, suggesting they all take down Vangale together as a team. Meanwhile, the other adventurers are desperately trying to hold back the giant fire phoenix with ice magic. They are throwing everything they have at the massive summon, a chaotic light show of spells. Vangale just adjusts his shades, smugly declaring that they have zero chance of winning this. He then casually plucks a single glowing feather from his phoenix, like he is about to do something nasty. And from his high ground, he just starts laughing, clearly enjoying this whole disaster way too much. Shun is suddenly on high alert, sensing that something is very, very wrong. Then a vision hits him of some other dude, beaten but not broken, admitting things look bad. In the memory, Vangale smirks, calling out to an old man he was clearly fighting. And just like that, reality itself starts to crack open with a surge of purple energy. Our boy turns to face the disturbance, completely blindsided by this new development. This massive fissure spreads across the sky, looming over the entire battlefield. A mysterious voice echoes from the rift, revealing someone's been watching them this whole time. Tendrils of dark power then erupt from the crack, engulfing the Phoenix and everyone below. Even Van Gale seems caught off guard as this strange energy warps his vision of Shun. All the other adventurers are crying out, caught in whatever this bizarre phenomenon is. Irisha and Ast are just as shocked, totally unprepared for this battlefield-wide attack. Shun and Rezius brace themselves, caught in the middle of this chaotic purple storm. Suddenly, the world around them changes, dropping them into a desolate, fiery wasteland. Shun can only stare, completely unable to process what the hell just happened. They are standing on a hill overlooking a graveyard of swords and fallen warriors, not a great sign. This voice from the void sighs, annoyed that it has to intervene in their little scuffle. Our boy is desperately trying to pinpoint the source of the voice, but there is nothing there. His eyes dart around, reflecting the absolute chaos of this new, broken world. This entity then mentions some experiment is only halfway done. Great, they are lab rats. Totally overwhelmed, Shun just asks why, as Rezius stands behind him, equally lost. Shun stares in absolute shock, demanding to know why this person is suddenly here. This mysterious voice belongs to a man with bandaged hands, identified as the founder of Levventin, and our boy realizes with dawning horror that this legendary figure is his own father. Floating above them in this fiery hellscape is the man himself, Pharaoh's Bright, looking down on them. He is just crackling with that same dark purple energy, looking completely unimpressed by the whole scene. Still trying to process this, Shun demands an answer from the man he's been hunting for years. These two titles just do not add up in his head, the heroic founder and the father who abandoned him. Pharaoh just stares back, casually holding a ball of destructive power like it is nothing. Then comes the most condescending family reunion ever, with Dad noting Shun is not a crybaby anymore. He even points out the sword in Shun's hands, the very one he gave him as a child, only to immediately call it a disappointing piece of junk. Talk about a warm welcome. Our boy is just completely stunned, barely able to stammer out his father's name. A horrifying memory of a headless victim flashes through his mind, the reason for all this suffering. Snapping back to the present, Shun finally asks the big question: why did he kill all those adventurers? Pharaoh's response is a chillingly casual, is that so? Like he is discussing the weather. He then explains they were just insects crawling on the ground, so he simply swept them away. And with zero remorse, he declares that is the only reason he needed. Problem solved. This sheer, casual evil of that answer leaves Shun completely and utterly speechless. Behind him, Rezius is shaking with pure, unadulterated rage at her brother's killer. Her poisoned dagger flares to life as she glares at Pharaoh's, ready to get her revenge. Shun is just staring at his hand, still trying to process the insane power-up he just got. Rezius, however, looks on with absolute horror. Before she can make a move, Irisha grabs her, screaming that charging Pharaoh's is a death sentence. Up above, Pharaoh's taunts the princess for still trying to get revenge after 10 whole years. She just glares back, poison still on her skin, calling him troublesome. Yeah, that is one word for it. Ast then steps forward, asking if this is really the same old man Pharaoh's he remembers from way back. Dad of the Year turns, giving Ast a little nod for actually making it to S rank like he always wanted. With a smirk, Ast credits Pharaoh's for the brutal training that got him there in the first place. This friendly reunion ends there, as he gestures to the ruined city and demands to know what the hell is going on. Van Gale chimes in, smugly explaining it is all just an experiment to create error monsters. He looks completely bored by this whole exchange, just waiting for everyone else to catch up. Pharaoh's then proves his point, noting that even a mighty phoenix is just trash in this dimension. Van Gale adds that the city is toast, and Pharaoh's just shrugs, totally within expectations. Shun finally breaks his silence, his voice shaking as he just begs his father to tell him something. He remembers the man who wanted to save everyone by killing all the monsters, so why he screams is his father now the one making them? Dad's answer is simple and absolutely insane. He is doing all this to remake the world. Our boy is just stunned silent, trying to wrap his head around that bonkers statement. Van Gale just howls with laughter, saying he empowered people who hate this country enough to die for his cause. And Pharaoh's just closes his eyes, agreeing that their hatred is truly something special. Pharaoh's voiceover kicks in, explaining his experiment succeeded thanks to noble sacrifices from people like Carla, who is clearly being tortured. He then has the nerve to say he should be grateful for their contributions, looking all grim and serious about it. Rezius is absolutely disgusted, calling him out for manipulating people with sweet words and turning them into terrorists. Her outburst seems to genuinely surprise Pharaoh's, who acts like she is the one being unreasonable here. He launches into his big villain speech about how the world is distorted because everything is decided by the skills you are born with. Then he pins all the blame on the royal family's negligence for ignoring this problem, a direct shot at Rezius. This supposed failure of the system, he claims, is what created desperate people like Carla for him to save. But Rezius cuts right through his philosophical garbage, asking why any of that justified murdering her brother Luca. Pharaoh's just repeats his same vague, unhelpful line about how everything he does is to remake the world. As Rezius seethes at his nonsense, Irisha holds her back, warning her about the insane difference in their power levels. Rezius tells her to move, but Irisha notes how unnervingly calm Pharaoh's is, just floating there like this is all a game. In a shocking twist, Irisha addresses him directly, thanking him for teaching her the basics of being an adventurer. He gets all nostalgic, reminding her of his lesson to always stay calm and not be swayed by emotion, peak condescension. And since she knows his teachings so well, he adds she should understand that any resistance is completely futile. He even extends an invitation to join his world-ending cult, offering her the great power behind the world. Ast, however, steps up to refuse, declaring he could not face his sister if he backed down now. Irisha draws her own blade in agreement, telling her former mentor she will not let him commit any more sins. Shun just watches this whole scene unfold, sword at the ready but clearly overwhelmed by this family drama turned coup. A brief memory of his younger self looking up to his dad flashes, as he finally declares that he understands now. With cold resolve, he rejects their family bond, addressing the man not as father but as Pharaoh's bright. Shun, crackling with that borrowed power, declares that the father he once knew is officially dead and gone. Pharaoh's just stares back, asking what his son plans to do about it. The condescension is off the charts. Gripping his sword with newfound resolve, Shun's decision is finally made. He announces that if talking will not work, he will just have to stop his dad with force. Ast immediately jumps in, ready to punch the old man and wake him up, a very Ast solution. Irisha and Rezius agree, believing that if they all attack together, they might actually stand a chance. With his back turned, Pharaoh sighs that negotiations have failed, like this is all just business. He then summons a nasty-looking purple blade, muttering that it cannot be helped. For a split second, he closes his eyes, probably just enjoying the moment before the curb stomp. Then he is a blur of motion, rushing forward to end this little rebellion himself, and unleashes a massive earth-splitting slash that rips the entire landscape apart. Shun is right in its path, desperately trying to block the overwhelming wave of purple energy. The sheer force of the attack has him completely stunned, barely holding on. He pours every bit of his power into his sword, trying to push back the tide. Our boy is just in awe of the insane level of strength his father is casually throwing around. From a distance, the power gap is painfully obvious, with Shun engulfed in the blast. Pharaohs looks down with pure disdain, remarking on how utterly disappointing his son is. But just then, Ast flies in from the side, shouting that it is way too early to call victory. Dad of the Year just scoffs useless and prepares to swat him like a fly, and with a casual backhand slash, he sends a wave of energy to intercept Ast midair. Pharaoh sees right through their plan, identifying Irisha's illusion magic from a mile away. With a confident shout, she confirms it, trying to lock him down as Ast prepares his own attack. Ast's fire blast then engulfs their target in a massive explosion, looks like a direct hit. But Pharaoh's is completely untouched, complementing their teamwork with maximum condescension. He then asks if they really thought such a basic, predictable trick would actually work on him. This illusion shatters as Ast just laughs it off, admitting the old man is as sharp as ever. He acknowledges Pharaoh's is stronger here, but reminds him they are S-rank adventurers now. Powering up his flames, Ast declares that no matter how strong he is, they can still reach him. And he unleashes a massive energy beam, a full-power blast aimed right at the big bad. Pharaoh's just scoffs at the light show, calling the whole desperate attempt ridiculous. Just then, Irisha appears right behind him, wrapping him in pink energy chains, a surprise attack. She taunts the world's strongest swordsman for letting his guard down for even a second. He realizes Ast's beam was just a distraction for this combined illusion and binding spell. Irisha smirks, saying she'd rather not face his attacks head-on if she can help it. With Pharaoh supposedly trapped, Ast launches another massive attack from the front. This guy is grinning, totally convinced this pincer move is actually going to work. Irisha, meanwhile, is pouring all her focus into maintaining the binding spell. From the sidelines, Shun watches this impressive display of teamwork, still recovering. Pharaoh's just stands there, wrapped in the spell but looking completely unbothered by it all. He is just thinking, completely calm, as if this is all just a minor inconvenience. And Van Gale is just howling with laughter, pointing out that Pharaoh's is completely fine. Dad of the Year gives them a patronizing, well done, admitting they have gotten stronger. But it is not enough. Before Ast can even blink, Pharaoh's is right on him, a purple energy blade at his throat. Our boy can only stare in shock, realizing just how outclassed they truly are. And Irisha is in the exact same boat, a blade of dark energy pressed against her neck too. These two S-rankers are completely paralyzed, realizing they are caught in some kind of cursed attack. With a smug look, Pharaoh's basically tells them their little binding spells are amateur hour. It dawns on Shun that even two S-rankers are getting stomped, as his dad taunts him about the power difference. Then he turns to his son, giving him a simple choice: fight and die or retreat. Meanwhile, a sinister green energy is spreading unnoticed, slowly corrupting someone from within. Turns out the target is Pharaoh's, who is now standing in a pool of this corrosive green magic. And who is behind this surprise attack? None other than Princess Rezius, looking on with grim satisfaction. She is unleashing her trump card, a terrain-changing magic that requires a serious sacrifice to use. For the first time, Pharaoh's actually seems impressed, acknowledging the unique power of the royal family. Seeing her chance, Rezius screams at Shun to attack while she has the big bad pinned down. Our boy charges in, sword ready, and Pharaoh stops the blade with one hand, dismissing the attack as useless. This kid's face is just pure, unadulterated shock. He cannot even process this level of power. Surrounded by his own dark aura, Pharaoh holds the sword in place without even breaking a sweat. He then glances over at the princess, calmly stating that her little trick was exactly what he expected. But Rezius is already coughing up blood, completely stunned as the price of her magic kicks in hard. Pharaoh casually orders Van Gale to snatch the unconscious princess while everyone else is down. While his lackey moves in, Pharaoh explains this is all to flood the world with his new error monsters. Shun struggles to his feet, growling that he absolutely will not let them take her, and immediately gets swatted out of the air like a fly for his heroic effort. His dad just stands over him, calling him immature and telling him to stay put and watch. He then twists the knife, pointing out that Shun is easily the most useless person on the field. Our boy is just crushed, forced to admit that for once his father is telling the truth. Even with his past life memories, he still cannot seem to master that incredible power. Now he cannot even save Rezius, the one person he swore he would always protect. This self-loathing is just pouring out of him, completely lost in his own failure. But a voice from his memory cuts through the despair, telling him the key to winning is in his past. He recalls his own journey, how he fought to build his own strength instead of just relying on his old life. A vision of Carla appears, remembering her vow to protect his earnest spirit no matter what. Her voice echoes that it is okay to be weak, it is fine to be ridiculed by everyone, as long as he can make the person in front of him happy, and his fist begins to glow. In a blinding flash of light, Shun roars that he is absolutely not giving up here. Pharaoh actually turns his head, looking mildly interested for the first time in this whole fight. Even Van Gale is caught off guard, sensing a strange and powerful new presence. He calls out to his boss, noting that things just got a whole lot more serious, and Shun, now cloaked in a dark purple aura, calmly states that something feels different. Dark energy crackles around Shun's hand as his father asks if he is finally awakened. A system window pops up, labeling him the original Sword Saint with a level of the ultimate glow-up. Pharaoh watches from a distance, calmly noting that his son has finally reached his true potential. With white hair and red eyes, Shun just stares back, absorbing this massive shift in his own power. He clenches his fist, realizing his power was sealed by the evil lord to create those error monsters. This whole time, the bad guys never wanted him to access this strength, even in his new life. Dad of the Year helpfully explains this is the Divine Shadow style, a technique Shun created 2 millennia ago. Apparently, it was so legendary that it spread across the world even while the original user was sealed away. And now Shun gets it, this is the real reason the evil lord was so terrified of him. His eyes glow with a dangerous new light, ready to put this ancient power to the test. But some new blue-haired goon with glasses interrupts, laughing that he cannot let this party continue. This guy gets right in his face, promising to end him in a single blow because that always works. Our boy just calmly draws his blade, preparing the first secret form of his own legendary style. In a flash, he is a blur of motion, effortlessly weaving through both Van Gale and the new guy's attacks. This glasses-wearing lackey is completely stunned as his attack gets casually intercepted by a fiery slash. Now engulfed in flames, he has to admit Shun's power is on a whole other level than before. Another one of Pharaoh's minions is down for the count, just staring in total disbelief. Shun glances back at his fallen friends, noting that every single one of them got stupidly strong too. His father looks on, recognizing the swordsmanship of the man he once knew from long ago. Deciding he has to get serious, Pharaoh draws his own blade to face the legend he helped create. With a grim look, Pharaoh announces that he is coming for real now. He calls out his son's full name, signaling the start of their true duel, and it is on. Father and son immediately clash in a massive explosion of purple energy. Our boy holds his ground, staring down the blade of the man he once called father. This two are locked blade to blade, a classic family therapy session with swords. Their combined power unleashes a massive arc of energy that rips through the air. With glowing red eyes, Shun pours everything he has into this one-on-one battle. Another clash sends a shockwave of red and purple energy blasting across the battlefield. This dust settles on a tense stalemate, both fighters sizing each other up again. A single footstep forward shows Pharaoh's is done waiting around, and he immediately closes the distance, pressing the attack relentlessly. Suddenly, Shun is on the back foot, desperately parrying a storm of high-speed attacks. Pharaoh's, on the other hand, looks like he is just filing his nails, total boredom. But Shun is already showing signs of strain, his defense starting to crack under the pressure. This entire area becomes a whirlwind of clashing blades and explosive impacts. Watching from afar, Irija notes they seem evenly matched in skill, but she knows that is not the whole story. Her analysis is grim, their swordplay is equal, but the physical gap is huge and Shun is losing. And she is right, Shun gets blasted back, the sheer force overwhelming his body. He realizes the awful truth. His mind remembers the moves, but his body is too frail to execute them properly. Pharaoh looms over him, twisting the knife by asking what his plan is now that he has hit his physical limit. With his power finally unlocked, Shun's eyes are cold and focused, all despair completely erased. Instead of attacking, he calmly sheathes his sword, a pretty bold move mid-fight. His friends are totally baffled, with Irija asking if he has just decided to give up. But Pharaoh recognizes the stance, identifying the legendary Zero form, a swordless fighting style. Shun just confirms it was his specialty 2,000 years ago, no big deal. Finding this interesting, Pharaoh decides to see how long Shun's weak body can handle his own ancient power. This two lock eyes and Dad promises to give his newly powered-up son a proper test. and he immediately follows through, lunging forward with a massive overhead strike. But Shun's glowing red eyes track the attack perfectly, completely unfazed by the incoming blade. As Pharaohs brings his sword down for the kill, our boy makes his move, effortlessly dodging and landing a brutal hand chop right on his father's neck. Pharaohs actually stumbles back, realizing this lighter style lets Shun fight without burning out his stamina. Turns out this divine shadow style was the strongest in the world before the evil lord erased it from history. And this, zero form, is the very first technique Shun himself created as the original sword saint. This whole point is to observe every tiny detail of your opponent's movements before you act, letting you shed the weight of your weapon and attack with blinding speed and precision. He lands another devastating blow, a technique only usable by those at the absolute peak of power. For the first time, Pharaohs is sent stumbling backward, completely caught off guard by the assault. This big bad just stares, processing the fact that he actually just got rocked by his own son. And Shun just looks down on him, calm and collected, with the tables finally dramatically turned. Ast is just blown away, realizing Shun is fighting the big boss without even using a sword. Pharaohs looks down on his son, admitting that he is definitely not just some ordinary kid. He even praises the strategy, noting Shun picked the one form he thought could actually win. Shun just confirms it, adding that the sword his dad gave him was basically junk anyway. Dad of the Year gives a smug little chuckle, impressed his son understands the basics of their situation. But then comes the classic villainous, but, because of course there is a but. A massive wave of dark purple energy just erupts from Pharaohs as he powers up. He starts lecturing about the zero form's weaknesses, like its short range and lack of a killer blow. This guy then has the nerve to ask if Shun seriously thinks he can win without a blade. Our boy just gives him a cold, hard stare, not even dignifying that with an answer. Pharaohs returns the look, the tension between them crackling with dark energy. With a clenched fist, he announces that playtime is officially over. He is coming for real. He rockets forward, screaming Shun's full name like a disappointed parent at a soccer game. Shun braces for impact, his own red aura flaring up to meet the charge. His hand flashes to his side, grabbing the hilt of his sheathed sword in an instant. Pharaohs closes the gap in a flash, a blur of purple and pure aggression. Their clash results in a massive explosion of golden energy, shaking the entire area. This dust settles on a tense standoff, both father and son staring each other down. Pharaohs is the one who breaks the stalemate, lunging forward to press the attack again. And Shun knows this is it, thinking his sword can only handle one more of his techniques. Shun decides to pour everything into one surprise attack, activating an acceleration skill. For a split second, Pharaohs actually looks caught off guard by the sudden burst of speed. Our boy unleashes the second secret form of his own legendary style, and his dad just copies him, preparing the exact same legendary technique like father like son. This true spacetime severance from both sides collides in a reality-shattering explosion. Its shockwave rips past the peanut gallery, who can only brace for the fallout. On the shattered ground, father and son are locked in a devastating stalemate. Pharaohs stares back with cold, unwavering focus, while Shun grits his teeth, clearly pushing his limits just to keep up. Suddenly, a small throwing knife zips through the air between them. It lands harmlessly at Shun's feet, looking like a simple distraction. Because the real attack already landed and Shun is coughing up blood, he looks down to find a nasty stab wound right through his chest. Pharaohs is already behind him, having landed the decisive blow in an instant. Dad gives him a condescending, well done, holding the tiny blade that did the deed. He then turns his back, walking away like the fight's already over. His friends are just staring in absolute disbelief at the sudden turn of events. Ass cannot even process it, wondering if Shun somehow won before realizing the awful truth. Pharaohs explains the obvious. He knew Shun lacked a finisher and just waited for the opening. And Shun just stands there, bleeding and beaten, having lost the ultimate clash. Pharaohs gloats that the fight was decided by the difference in their swords, a classic gear check. He turns away, smugly declaring the battle's outcome was sealed from the start. Shun just stares back, bleeding and completely unable to process what just happened. His friends are in the exact same boat, just watching in total silent shock. But then Pharaoh starts glowing with some weird blue digital energy, like he is rebooting. Shun recognizes the power, realizing it is completely erasing all of his father's injuries. Ass just has to say it out loud for the class. It is a complete instantaneous recovery. This guy's not even human anymore, just a monster who'd point a sword at his own son. Pharaohs then announces that unfortunately, he is running out of time for this family reunion. He admits that while killing them all would have been entertaining, he has got a schedule to keep for the evil god. At that moment, Shun spots reinforcements arriving, 3 more goons for the bad guy squad. Seeing his ride is here, Pharaohs decides it is time to make a tactical retreat. This blue-haired lackey confirms their main objective was just to secure the princess anyway. Hearing that, Shun absolutely loses it, screaming out for Rees. A massive red teleportation circle flares to life under the villains and their hostage. Our boy tries to charge them, furious that his dad is just going to dip out. But a barrier stops him cold, with Pharaohs helpfully reminding him he is useless without a good sword. He gives his son one last condescending look, saying he cannot possibly win as he is now. A new voice chimes in, revealing this was all part of a plan set in motion 2,000 years ago. And with a final farewell, they vanish, telling Shun to just watch quietly as the world gets remade. With the villains gone, Shun just stands there, staring at the empty battlefield in a silent rage. His friends can only watch from the sidelines, completely floored by the absolute train wreck of a family reunion. Our boy is just stewing in his own failure, the weight of his defeat hitting him like a truck. And his sword lies broken on the ground, a perfect little parting gift from dear old dad. Ast is having a full-on system crash, grabbing his head and trying to process any of what just happened. He marches right up to Shun, basically accusing him of using cheat codes for that sudden power boost. Shun, looking surprisingly calm, just agrees to give them the quick and dirty version of his whole deal. Then he drops the bombshell. He is the reincarnation of the original Sword Saint, and his friend's brains just short-circuit. He admits it is a lot to take in, but says he has been feeling this connection to his past life for a while now. It explains all those weird power surges and random, mysterious memories that kept popping up out of nowhere. For Ast, the light bulb finally goes on, realizing all of Shun's weirdly op moments were not just dumb luck. He remembers that previous power-up and it clicks, that was never just a normal burst of strength. Ast points out that Shun's entire vibe has changed, asking if he has finally got all his old powers back. Shun confirms he is back to full strength, but then holds up his busted sword, a bit of a logistical problem. Ast then asks the million-dollar question of whether he has all his old memories too, and Shun just says yep. This leaves Ast reeling, realizing his buddy is the literal founder of modern swordsmanship, no pressure or anything. Irisha chimes in with the tactical debrief, confirming Pharaoh's is not just a bad dad but also the enemy's big boss. She figures he is running some secret organization, probably the one pumping out all those error monsters. Shun's focus snaps back to the present, realizing Ree's kidnapping was not just a random act of villainy. Irisha, ever the professional, immediately lightens the mood by asking if she has to call him grandpa now. He is not amused. Shun tries to play it cool, asking everyone to please ignore his new reincarnated legend status. Irisha just gives a little laugh, totally unsurprised by his attempt to downplay the whole situation. Their focus then shifts back to the impossible problem. Rees is captured and they are hopelessly outgunned. But from the rubble, Shun declares there is still one option left on the table. Ast immediately connects the dots, wondering if his ancient memories hold the key. Clutching his broken sword, Shun confirms his past self left behind a very specific solution.